It's time to start Dishin Days with your hosts, Tony Moore, Michael Mattis, Justin Lee Hareld, and Araceli Aviles. And now, let's dish. Oh, well, top of the morning to you. Was that Irish? No.
It was a great attempt.
Well, thank you. Well, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we are serving up a full dish of this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. If you haven't already, make sure you like us and follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show on Facebook and Dishin Days on Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. Also, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us live and in living color, just look over to your left or right, not sure where the button is, but hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. That way you'll never miss when we're going live and in person for you. And while you're there, go ahead and look around at some of our previous interviews and shows, because trust me, they're a hoot and a holler just like this one is about to be. Also, if you don't want to watch us live and see our beautiful places and you need to take us on a trip with you, or while you're stuck in traffic, or while you're in the gym, or just taking a leisurely walk around your local pond. I don't know if people have ponds still. Make sure you go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or iHeartRadio. Look up Dishin Days and you can find out all the latest in Salem right along with us. Also, make sure you buy our merch. That's right. So we have one more week, and then I'm gonna shut it down. This is the last week you can buy one of these lovely logos in a shirt, a mug, a sweatshirt, a hoodie, because we're gonna shut the store down, and who knows, you may get some new threads. So while supplies last, go to dishindays.threadless.com and purchase your merchandise today or tomorrow, because next week they ain't gonna be there. Also, make sure you show some love to my oldest friend, James Lott Jr., who is serving up a few dishes of his own. If you want your full soap opera fix, head on over to JLJ Media on your favorite podcast station and on YouTube. He is giving you recaps of Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless, and General Hospital, and of course, original audio dramas, because James Lott Jr. is the only person that I know that dated Eve before Adam came along. Oh, you know what I should have said? James Lott Jr. is the only person that was friends with David before he got in a fight with Goliath.
Should have saved that one for next week.
Too late. I already said it now. Something better will come along. I want residuals for being in the intro. Well, maybe we get residuals too for being in your intro. Check for check. Thanks, James. Shout out to James Lott Jr., who is in our chat room, because he has finished all of his shows today while we're currently doing ours. But coming up later on in the show, we do have a very special guest. He hasn't been with us for quite some time, but he is back and giving us all the latest on Brady Black himself. So Eric Martsolf will be joining us later. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Have your questions ready, because we are going to dive deep into the Brady curve. Before we go into what you thought about this week's episodes of Days, can we just talk about, and let me get your thoughts and opinions on the new camera shots that we are getting of Salem Hospital,
the establishing shots.
The establishing shots. That's what I was looking for. The establishing shots of Marlena's penthouse, the police station. What do we think of that?
I have thoughts.
What are your thoughts?
So I do appreciate an establishing shot. I think it lets the show breathe a little bit rather than just like scene.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, okay, the Marlena's penthouse one. Like, it looks like it's in New York City. Salem ain't New York City.
But it's near Chicago.
The hospital looks like a cartoon. the stockyards or what ended up being a brewery looked like a cartoon. Though so on one hand, I appreciate that they're using those to kind of let the show maybe flow a little better visually, and they could do better. Just an opinion, just my opinion. And I know like stock footage ain't cheap, and but I do like though that they're using establishing shots to kind of establish and just kind of let the scenes breathe a little bit.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say to Michael's thing that it was you said it was stock, but John Del Rey said the shots are CGI, and Days is not the most modern of soaps.
Work there?
Oh, Justin, what were you going to say?
Moving right along. I kind of agree with Michael. I actually really like them. When they first popped up, it was a couple of weeks ago they started doing them, and it was like a little jarring for a minute. I don't know if they were taking a page from Beyond Salem when they started doing them. But I like them. I agree. I wish they were a little bit more fitting to the show. I feel like they're a little bit too stock, especially like the hospital doesn't sort of match, and then like the Marlenas, I'm like, does she live in like a new apartment building in Culver City? Like it was like it doesn't match fully. So I was like, oh, I wish they matched a little bit more. But I do like them though. I appreciate the fact that it helps break up the scenes a bit.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I feel like it's interesting to like, see the pan of like the Salem PD and hear like the sirens and then go into it. Is it necessarily needed? No. I think because we've done without it for so long that so, and someone was like, it reminds them of Beyond Salem. But I think the cool thing about Beyond Salem was that they were like, so when they went to San Francisco, it was shots of like San Francisco, you know what I mean? Yeah. Instead of just like a pan of a building. So I think maybe if like we saw like, like a drone shot of like Salem, USA, and then it kind of, faded into Marlena's building, but it was more of like those wide shots where it's like you could see the street and like, the building and stuff. I think it would be a little more effective. Same with the hospital. Like if it felt like more of like a wide shot and you could see like someone maybe being wheeled in or the ambulance, coming up or whatever, I think maybe we would be a little more into it. Shut up, Michael Mountain. We'd be a little. I'm Black. That
after you go to the library.
Yeah, if we go to the library and the ambulance. But I think those kind of shots would probably be like a little more, and maybe more. Beyond Salem, they were a little more colorful and more poppy. Yeah, and these seem like a cloudy day, and I'd rather have a sunshine day.
Maybe we'll get sunshine when summer rolls around.
Maybe. But
maybe they're all dark and dank because it's wintertime in Salem, and Salem's in the Midwest, and that's winter in the Midwest is dark and dank. So,
but definitely not knocking it. It's very interesting, and I think it's
like I said, it just allows the show to breathe a little bit. Like instead of just being like boom, 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 boom. Is it necessarily needed? No, but as a viewer, it's nice to have that little take a short breath, and then go on to Konstantin and whatever the hell he's saying.
Right. Well, also it kind of gets you more familiar with like the city a little bit, which I think is interesting to see like what these buildings and places actually look like. Yeah. I don't know. Well, you guys give your thoughts. Let us know what you think about these new inserts, establishing shots of Salem, USA. And now we can get into what did we think about this week's episodes of Days?
Highlight for me was Holly and
Tate.
Yes, that whole storyline. I was really interested in seeing what progressed with that, and I think it was the anticipation of Holly like blurting out something and over and over again not doing it. But it was interesting to watch, and I think we have we said it before, those two young powerhouse actors are just make it all the better. And then I thought it was I thought it was a decent week, but that was the highlight.
Yeah, I like. Oh, go ahead.
I actually watched the last 2 weeks back to back, and everything was like very succinct. It didn't feel like I was bored. Like nothing like major, but everything I thought was planned out very well.
I think the last 2 weeks we were just kind of like, there aren't things that are pushing the story along. It's just a lot of conversations and a lot of talk, but it's basically nothing that is kind of, except the 1 or 2 things, but nothing that warranted a full in-depth conversation. This week I thought it was a little bit better. There were some things that were definitely very interesting. Yeah. And so we're back, sort of say.
Yeah. I like this group too. I like that there was it seems like in the different plot lines, there's a lot of secrets going on and not everyone being aware of what everyone else is doing. So I felt like that was like a running theme throughout the whole week. So yeah, interesting.
Well, on that note, let's dive in deeper. It is now time to start Dishin Days. Well, it's as close as it's going to get. All right.
It actually sounded close to me.
Yeah. All right. So let's start off with our first major storyline, which is not exactly Romeo and Juliet. We're talking about Holly and Tate. Hello, Mom. How are you? I'm glad you made it into the chat.
Hi, Mama Moore.
Watching the scenes with Holly and Tate and Nicole and EJ and Brady. Two things. One, I feel like, as my mom always told me growing up, and even told me the other day when we were talking, I know my children. And I feel like at some point you have to know your kids. And it is driving.
Is this about like regarding Nicole
and EJ? And it's driving me crazy that no one is listening to Holly, and they are like, Tate is still, he's a young man, but he's a kid in your eyes, and you guys are so willing to leave him in jail, leave him in a halfway house, do all this stuff to him, all because you simply can't prove the fact that he was the one that actually gave the drugs to Holly. And the disconcern that EJ and Nicole have of Tate bothers me so much.
I feel like Nicole started to kind of think a little bit like weeks ago that maybe Holly may not be when Holly was still in a coma. I feel like she was kind of starting to lean more on the Holly's not so innocent in this side, but she seems to have backtracked a little bit since she and Holly have gotten back. I do feel like I do see like a slight hesitation with Nicole to go as hard on Tate as EJ is, but she is still like, she's not, she's saying, oh EJ, like but she's not like taking a hard a stance on it as I feel like Nicole should.
She's placing her concern more so on Holly, which is understandable, and kind of allowing EJ to just do whatever with Tate. But I feel like she's not taking a moment to go, EJ, calm down. Like, I understand that you're trying to show how much you care about Holly and I, but let's not go overboard. Like, let's not forget the relationship that Nicole and Brady have. So there has to be some sort of love for Tate. And so again, just the disregard and disconcern for him is frustrating. And while I understand that she has the concern for Holly, because, Holly was in a coma, drugs, all this kind of stuff, at some point you have to say, EJ, calm down.
Yeah, and I think even though Holly hasn't said it outright that Tate did not give me those drugs, those were my drugs, she has said enough and protested enough that they should have listened, which I guess EJ somewhat listened by not pressing charges like he said he was going to for Tate breaking into the house. Which, I was like, did he really break?
Yeah.
I was kind of on the fence of like, is that really a break-in? Because
he didn't break in. The window was let up for him.
Yeah. But I feel like they should at least like enter but then Holly bears some responsibility. She knows that they weren't Tate's drugs. She knows what happened, and she's not. I mean, she does, right? She knows.
Yeah, she knows.
So, but she's not. But then she's using the excuse. She's like, "Oh, she wants to protect Nicole," which I think I'm like that's kind of a cop out, girl. No, you just don't want to hear the wrath of everyone.
No, she's protecting herself.
Yes,
yeah.
She's 100% protecting herself, and it's not the wrath because Nicole's not going to be angry. She said it. She doesn't want to disappoint her mom. There's a special kind of disgust with yourself that you feel when you've disappointed your parents. It's worse than anger sometimes. And so she doesn't want to do that. But yeah, it's 100% a cop-out because she could end this in three words. Those 4 words. Those drugs were mine. That's all she would have to say, and this would be over with. And she's still behaving like a child, and Nicole's treating her like a child, and EJ is treating her like a child, but she's not a child. She is not she's hardly an adult, but she's not a baby. Mm-hmm. So that's the problem. There's a clear double standard happening here. Holly's being treated like a little baby. Tate's being treated like an adult, which he also is not. He's a teenager. He's a minor. And he's adamantly saying, I didn't do anything wrong. And nobody is listening except Brady and Teresa.
Yeah.
Justin, you go ahead and then I'll ask you guys a question.
Yeah, I was incredibly frustrated with Nicole this week. I was like, girl, like, I don't know why she just sort of relinquished all control to EJ in this. I was like, is this Nicole, is that you? Like, what's going on? And the funny thing is, I understand EJ more, even though I disagree with him. To me, this is him being a protective dad, especially in lieu of what just happened. They just lost a baby. I feel like this is him sort of trying to be the protector of the family when he couldn't be the protector for their dead child, which isn't really dead. It wasn't his child. But anyway, I feel like that's the result of what he's doing. But Nicole, I'm like, where's your backbone, girl? Like, what are you doing? Like, you can still be concerned with about Holly's health, but also listen to her. And she said it now several times. Now we're past the point where she said Tate didn't do anything. We're now at the point where EJ and Nicole are refusing to believe her. Now we've gone on to, she doesn't just have to say it. She's already said it multiple times. They're now saying, we think you're lying now to protect him. So it's not even, I think she 100% has to say they're mine. And I mean, who knows if that will even work. I feel like
I know. You're just covering. You don't feel like you have to cover. Yeah.
Which is strange. And like I said, I don't understand the complete lack of regard for Tate. Like, he's someone they don't know. Like, I mean, we've talked about this before. Tate and Holly grew up together for a good portion of their beginning part of their lives. Like, we're just ignoring that part of it. We're ignoring that Brady and Nicole, remember, ran away for a while and they were together as a family. Like, we're ignoring all these things to like put these two together as if they're like, star-crossed lovers who've never met and don't have histories. Like, I mean, like it or not, they're practically in the same family. I don't know. There's like a weird disconnect with this storyline that is just, it's starting to stretch imagination even for a soap now, how they're doing this. The one part I will say is that I loved the fact that Tate continues to stand up for himself, like in that scene when they were in the interrogation room, I think on Friday, where I think Teresa and Brady said something like, you'll go back to the halfway house and it'll be good for you. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm not stop pretending like this is, you know, I'm being punished for something I didn't do. Stop pretending like this is good for me or something like that. I like the fact that he's still standing his ground. I hate the fact that he went to her house because that was an incredibly stupid thing to do. And it sort of backfired. But
but he is a teenager. It just shows that he's a teenager.
Yeah.
He's not an adult. So, but he's being treated as if he's an adult.
Yeah. Well, both of them are being treated. Well, they're not being treated well because even when Holly, you know, I love to do a role play. Justin, try to explain to me that Michael didn't give you drugs.
Michael did not give me drugs. He would never.
Justin. No, you should rest. You should. Like they kept doing that to her.
Yeah.
And I was just like, let her talk. Like it's. Oh no, Holly, no, Holly, just lie down. Just and it's just like no, like she's sitting there trying to tell you, basically, stop going so hard on Tate. It's not him, and they're not listening. What I wanted to ask you guys, because now we're trying to think of, and I think Justin, you said it about her saying the drugs are mine, but like they might not even believe her. If she wanted to continue painting the picture of she doesn't use drugs and she wasn't the person, my first thought was, why couldn't you have said, from what I remember, Tate and I were having a great time. I went to order a drink, and then after I sipped that drink, I started feeling weird, and so I went out for air. Yeah, and then Tate found me. Like, you know how to lie. You were lying and scheming, trying to get Johnny. So you know how to lie. So why wasn't that in play? Because
she is bad at it. Even when she was trying to scheme her way with Johnny, she was bad at it. I mean, she made it. She took a situation that was sticky and made it 1,000 times ickier by saying that she had a crush on EJ. Remember that?
Well, I do.
She's
remember.
A bad liar. The only thing that is saving her at this point is that they won't let her talk.
Yeah, pretty much. But I do like but it just shows Tate has been a good guy since day one. Mm-hmm. And he continues to go to bat for her. Mm-hmm. And the fact that she can look at him and kind of be like,
yeah, I know.
And like go back to bed or go back to planning, the christening. It's like,
she's giving up way too easily. Yeah.
Yeah. And he is fighting to that. And I think at this point, Tate just wants someone to believe him. Because I don't even think he thinks that Teresa and Brady believe him.
They do. He's just, they know they believe him. He knows they believe him. He's just frustrated, and because it's a frustrating situation, because he again is still a teenager. He thinks that, if you did the right thing, then you should be treated well, and people who do the wrong thing should be treated poorly. And they're adults, and they're smart enough to know that that's not how the world works. That it's what can be proven. And that the world is not fair. And so they're trying their best to just navigate this situation.
It's like, I think we're all Team Tate right now.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
1,000%.
1,000%.
Yeah.
But I am 100% also on Brady and Teresa's side as parents, because I do think they're doing the best that they can in an awful situation.
Yeah.
I wanted them to let Teresa go to Holly. Because she was ready to fire. I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good. But no,
it wouldn't have been smart.
It wouldn't have been smart. It would have made the situation worse, but it would have been fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
I got frustrated. I'm like, Holly, you are supposed to be on bed rest. You got in your car, you drove all the way down to the police station, and you're gonna puss out on telling the truth. Mm-hmm. All that because your mom.
And even then,
why did you bother? Why did you bother? Why didn't you just stay in your room?
Well, and for someone to go through that much trouble, Nicole still walks in, Holly. I'm so glad Jada called. It's like at some point you walk in like, what's going on? Yeah. Let me tell you, I knew when I was growing up, I was, you know, I know you guys would never believe this, but I was a horrible kid growing up. Like, I was always in trouble growing up. This is like in elementary school. And I can still remember to this day being in the principal's office and hearing my mom's keys and being so scared because I knew I was in for it. Now, granted, my mom did, like, she would hear me out before she made her decision. And there were times I was able to be like, because I remember she came to pick me up and I told her, I was like, Mom, I don't think my teacher likes boys. Like, she is so prejudiced against boys because I'm always in trouble for talking, but I'm not talking to myself. But she ain't saying nothing to Sarah. So there were times where my mom would be like, okay, I hear what you're saying. But that time I flipped over a table because they forgot my birthday. She was not so understanding at all. But all that to say, like, as parents, like you have an idea of what your children are capable of. And, you know, we saw a little bit of that with Nicole, but it's just at the end of the day, the way that they are treating Tate, the way that they are treating Brady, the way that EJ is, you know, slanging his power around as the DA, it's just like no one can win for losing. Like, Tate can't win for losing right now. So I don't know. I kind of hope it just gets wrapped up a little bit and we can just move on to the next thing because it's just kind of being drug out.
But it's being drug out and we can only take so much more of this Holly like almost telling the truth or Holly like saying Tate didn't do anything wrong and nobody listening. Like, that was this week. Next week has to be something else. Please.
Well, speaking of something else, let's move on to the next thing. Hey, Michael Mattis, did you hear about Clyde?
Not dead.
Not dead and not in jail.
Nope. They really fucked that one up, didn't they?
Let me ask you guys. on the count of 3, show me your reaction to Officer Goldman and Clyde kissing. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I was like, now listen.
That was a shock.
Yep.
I'm gonna say this. Clyde does not look like somebody that can put that thing on you to the point where you are willing to risk your entire career. What about Clyde says, I want a piece of that country ham?
That's Kate. Kate, like, it never made sense to me that Kate was so digmatized by him.
I mean, this is the clearest case of daddy issues I've ever seen.
KC in our chat said Clyde must have had a lot on Goldman. Like, she must have had a pass, honey. But
it was weird too because we realized she was putting on a whole act too. Like, she completely was a different person. Like, she switched personalities when she was with him. It was like, oh, get it. Because I think me and you, Tony, were talking about this when we did the show solo. We were like, we were wondering, is it a case where Clyde has something on her and maybe she's being blackmailed like Ava and Stefan are? So it was like, okay, how hard do we judge this, or is that going to be a reveal? And then when that came up, it was like, oh, okay, this is an interesting turn.
Yes. And I'd like to push back on what Megan is saying, that girls like bad boys. This is a trope for a reason. Yes, it's true. Girls like bad boys, but girls like bad boys that look like Christian Grey, not Clyde Weston.
But did you see what Jason Jaw said?
Which one? it.
It might be big, y'all.
Girth, maybe girthy.
And actually, no, but it
They have the right curve to it that just, you know.
Did anyone else get like weird Jordan like ickiness there? I kind of got a little bit of like,
No,
yeah,
I didn't get that.
Yeah, it kind of gave me like a Clyde with a younger woman again. I was like, it kind of gave me a little bit of that. So.
Oh yeah, Clyde and Nancy. But Nancy was just getting over someone, so I don't know.
Clyde and Nancy, I wasn't mad at because Clyde was at the time. We weren't sure whether Clyde had. I believe it was because we didn't know for sure whether Clyde he turned a new leaf, right?
Yeah.
We weren't sure if it was real or not, and he turned out he was putting on an act.
Mm-hmm.
But those two, I was like. I guess I didn't mind it as much as what we saw this week.
It was appropriate.
Oh, yes. What was not appropriate was Goldman and Clyde.
Yeah. And I could take or leave, I guess, the backstory and, how they met and everything. But I actually am very curious now as to how that happened, because hasn't he been in jail this whole time ever since he was arrested for Abigail's murder? Where did they cross over?
Yeah.
Well, there might have been some conjugal visits. Maybe she got assigned to the jail one day and he, came up to the rail and was like, "Hey there, pretty lady. You look like somebody that could use a friend."
Oh. No, I was saying to the comment, but
What?
that's in a different storyline.
But there was a lot to digest with this.
Yeah.
Where should we?
Anybody else furious at John and Steve? I was more mad at them than Ava.
I'm not furious necessarily, but
wait. Why, Justin? Why were you mad?
Because she ultimately did what she did because they were going to double cross her. Mm-hmm. And that was her basically them saying she messed up everything. She only did that because they were going to double cross her in the first place, which I thought was kind of shady to begin with.
Yeah.
So I felt like they put that whole thing in motion, and then at the end they were like, "You did this. You're responsible."
Yeah, it was all Ava's fault. It's like,
and it was like,
no, man, just get out of here. And then they were just screaming at her. I'm like,
yeah. It was weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone heard anything you two said, because it was like, they were like, yeah, I did it. And then she did it, yeah.
No, I was just saying, like, I agree wholeheartedly with Justin, and I'm glad that she kind of stood up for herself in that respect, even though, like, it still led to Clyde getting away and whatnot. But Steve and John just feel like their arrogance is what bugged me. And then they had the nerve to come after her and say that and scream at her and yell at her. And I'm like, you guys can talk to her without screaming. But John, and that's another thing I wanted to mention. Mm-hmm. John just gets, and I don't know if this is a choice Drake Hogestyn is making, but his loudness, he just gets so loud and it's almost like aggro when he's upset with somebody. And and it's just like, I'm like Kathy Hilton, where I'm just like,
I feel like
here,
that to his issues now, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I must have missed the double crossing that John and Patch were planning for, but when Ava did what she did, I was like, girl, y'all all need each other at this point.
Yeah, it was just a mess, which is why I'm not really mad at anybody in that situation, because they were doing the best that they could. And Clyde was always, he was always never going to tell them where Tripp and Wendy were. This was always just a means to an end.
But also, how did they get away? Because weren't they going to send... Okay, this is what I thought. I thought they were going to lure him, get him on the plane, but have the pilot just, like they'd be basically in control of the plane, right? Mm-hmm. To force Clyde to say what, tell him the information they need to. Am I the only one that thought that? Or like, at the end of the day, like, where did him and Goldman go? Did they get in a car? And why can't anybody find them? I'm confused, because it seemed like Ava, Patch, and John had all the power, And then later, Ava's tied up. They ran off, then came back, untied her, had to rewatch the video to find Wendy doing like this for beer, and then go get them. But then they was almost dead, which, mind you, one of the fans said, Carly managed 7 days in that coffin, and y'all can't manage 2. So there was just a lot. There was just a lot to this storyline that I was just like,
well, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the whole point of being in the coffin was that she was supposed to stay alive? That Vivian had tricked it with like a hole for breathing, so
like that was like the terror part of it. Like she had oxygen, she was able to stay alive. That was part of the terrorizing that Vivian was doing, and she had like the walkie-talkie.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, they not making soap folks trapped up in a room like they used to.
Yeah, I did. That room was so big. I was like, wait, how's it running out of oxygen? I was confused on a space like that.
The vents.
I just kind of got tired of them having, I get that they had to entertain themselves some way, but I'm like, okay, where y'all think you are this week? Where are you going? What vacation are you on? Or what? I was like, okay, this is getting.
We needed to see that
once.
Okay, but also speaking of, because they are tap dancing around the fact that Tripp proposed and they slightly had a wedding before their death. And now Tripp trying to act like, what do you remember? And Wendy's like, pretty sure I was saying vows, Tripp. Like,
I hope this is just a ploy on his part. That he's actually
think.
now he's gonna propose.
Yeah, that's what
I don't know. Because Tripp is looking back at Wendy like, the brain.
I did
plays tricks on you. Yeah.
I did laugh at when they were trying to revive Tripp, and he was like something about my wife, and they were like, you could see that everyone's heads. They were like, "Oh, he's delirious. We gotta get." You could see like the wheels turning in their heads of like, "Oh man, we're losing him." Like,
but I actually did love. I thought that was some of the best acting from them, because I thought that those scenes where they were exchanging vows were really beautiful. I know that I know that there are a lot of people who kind of rag on them as being like the vanilla couple and stuff, but I thought that those vows were just so heartfelt and so important. Then I'm like, I don't even know if I need to see a real wedding, because that for me was it. That was beautiful.
Maybe at the real wedding there can also be a lack of oxygen in there, and you'll get the same authenticity. Lack of oxygen thoughts speak sober minds. Wait. Mm-hmm. Lack of oxygen minds speak sober thoughts.
Do you know what you just said?
I do.
See,
do you, Araceli? Do you remember what I
do you?
Ask me in half an hour if I can recite the what is it?
Listen,
ask Araceli in 20 minutes after she's down that drink if she remembers what she did this morning.
I remember what I did this morning. I did yoga.
Ask Araceli
I said after you do the drink. After you.
Ask Araceli after she downs that whiskey.
The parting glass. That was what I was going to say. I can recite the parting glass.
If it's going to be part 2 of a show that we had, like a month ago? We were all just like, what is in that cup? My mom even texted me. My mom was like, what's wrong with Araceli?
Yeah, I did get a few of those messages too. Yes.
I was like,
Araceli deals with a lot on a day-to-day basis.
Listen, we all do. However, still as cool as a cucumber.
All right.
It's water over here, although it looks like vodka. Let's see. Araceli gone wild. Also, I'm wondering what is Harris's plan on acting like he doesn't remember that Stefan shot him.
Did I forget something? Did I forget us being clued in as to why he's pretending that he doesn't know Stefan shot him?
He was going to basically flip Stefan to help him bring down Clyde, but now that Stefan was ignoring him, it's sort of like his plot is sort of gone out the window.
No, it's not. I don't think that's why it's gone out the window. It's because Clyde escaped. The whole point was to bring down Clyde, but Clyde had escaped.
Yeah,
got it. You're right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But he should at least go get like poor Xander's.
I know
in jail. Like,
well, I think he probably will now, but I think that was like his last ditch effort was to get in touch with EJ to kind of feel him out a bit.
Yeah, but then he went to EJ and now has revealed that Stefan's the one that shot him.
Yeah.
Did EJ know? Did I forget? I forgot that. Did EJ know?
EJ
I didn't go back and look.
Yes.
EJ knows because that's how he got the Demira shares from Stefan finally. All it took was, all those stupid games they were playing to get the shares, and he just signed in one.
I will agree with Stefan. Stefano would not like this.
Oh no.
No, this is like amateur hour. Like Stefano was like, y'all can do better than this. Stefano would be like, well, first he'll be like, do, 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 do. And then Stefan would come in, and then he'll finally get upset, and he'll be like, "You will help your brother."
Yeah,
that's my Stefano impersonation. Thank you.
And then he'll wipe the chessboard in anger.
Oh yeah, because Stefan
then he'll
just
backhand somebody.
I mean, Stefan just made wrong turn after wrong turn here. Like I said it from day one, he went to the wrong brother. Had he went to the first thing that he did when he got into this mess with Clyde was he went to EJ. That was the wrong move. He should have gone to Chad.
To do what?
Because EJ was not. Yes, EJ had the resources, but actually I take that back. EJ didn't have the resources at the time because Stefan had taken all of his shares. So what he could have done was gone to Chad. Chad would have been highly motivated to take down Clyde, and Chad. EJ doesn't listen to a lot of people, but he does listen to Chad. So Chad could have been an intermediary and convinced EJ that they could all band together against Clyde. But because Stefan is such a dummy that he thought that EJ would help him out of the goodness of his heart or out of family loyalty. That's not how EJ works. That's how Chad works.
Well, listen, you said Chad.
And you're right. Chad would be totally down to get Clyde.
And he I truly think he would have been able to convince EJ.
But listen, Stefan, he ain't got time for that. He ain't got time for the roundabout. He had to just go straight to somebody who knows who's as devious as Clyde to help him. Chad ain't devious. You can be mad. You can be mad all day long, but Chad.
You know what?
I have.
Okay, so Chad isn't devious, but I feel like that motivation to get Clyde would have brought it out. And I'm kind of, after Araceli explained it, I'm kind of on her side about that. Yes, I believe Chad would have been the better. Excuse me. Chad would have been the better brother to go to, and I feel like it would have had a better outcome.
Because
Stefan,
he would have been.
I feel like it's just I feel like Stefan is trying to be a Demira and just can't do it. Kind of like Li Shin was trying to be. Li Shin tried to be a villain, tried to be the bad boy. It just didn't work.
Bad at it.
You're bad at it. Yeah, exactly. And that's the case Stefan's in. The mustache, he thinks that just made him like a badass. No. Mustache just made you dumb.
Well, everyone who's just behind on all of this is Salem PD.
Yep.
So there's that.
Yeah.
They're too busy fielding Holly.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say they did jump in with the brewery thing because they found that out by themselves. So they did some good
Black
work.
Patch?
There. Huh?
Black Patch?
Yeah, that was Black Patch.
No,
that was Stefan.
Rafe and Jada found the brewery on their own. Remember?
Yeah, afterwards.
There. Yeah. They both met up there at the same time, but they found that out because remember they were looking into Goldman's finances.
Oh, the location. They were looking at her GPS records.
Yeah.
But also, who's in charge of looking over those reports? Like, who? There is somebody.
How long did they have them? Like,
I mean, for a while. And y'all just noticed that where she was going and where she was logged in at, and that she put herself as the contact.
Yeah.
Nobody questioned that. Not even Mary in the office, who's super nosy and probably knows more than Jada and Rafe put together about the office.
I don't think that they actually look them over. when you submit that kind of a paperwork. I think that they just check to see that it's actually filled out and then put it in.
That is actually filled out. So no one went, oh, ma'am, why are you the contact? That's not the proper.
No, like you see like that there's actual writing on it, but that's what I mean. Like just literally just glance at it, make sure that every line has writing on it, not actually read it.
Well, then somebody's not doing their job because somebody could have found that a long time ago, which also further explains why there are a lot of cold cases at Salem PD because everyone's just glancing over stuff and not really looking at it.
They need to bring in a new, what does Dateline always do when they have these cold cases? It's like suddenly a new district attorney came in and figured it all out. It's usually a lady.
It's all, you don't want to be associated with Dateline. Because you are Deadline. Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we will see how this develops because there's still a lot to unpack with this. Stefan ain't been around for a couple of days. Ava is like, at this point, she done told everybody, like, what the tea was.
I will say I really did like the trio before they screwed each other over. I did like the trio of Ava and John and Steve working together.
And I know it's cringe. The Ava, I keep on to call him Steven. That's his real name. What's his character's name? Patch. Steve.
Yeah.
Wait, which one?
No. I'm saying like it's cringe because of what Ava did to Steve. Like that they would be working together and friendly now. Like a lot of people make comments about how like cringy that is, but I don't think
that's cringy. They have their parents together. Yes, their son is an adult, but if he was in trouble, that's the.
But no, like she didn't. Isn't the history that she like raped him, like drugged him to sleep with her?
Oh yes.
That was not for Tripp, not Tripp's conception, but later on,
yeah. But yes, I mean that, but that doesn't erase the fact that they have a child together.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Some people are saying it was cringy that they're good with each other, but I'm
they're
saying
not. No, they're clearly not good with each other. They stay out of each other's way.
But they have respect for each other because they are the parents of Tripp.
Yeah,
they have a common bond.
Yes. It's like that. It was like Ava and her ex-boyfriends that we don't talk about her and John anymore, but that was
we don't talk about John. No.
I'm sorry. Everybody's been with everybody on this show, though.
Pretty much. Before we did you say everybody that's seen everybody's dick?
Yeah.
Before we exit stage left, I will say this: Harris better reveal who actually shot him before Sarah gets to him.
Oh,
because
Sarah's gonna Lorena Bob at him.
That whole conversation Sarah was having was very much like, I can't remember what she said, but this is what I interpreted as, oh, you know who shot you. And you got my man over there sitting in jail for something that he didn't do. His baby, Victoria, is missing him. And he is missing a ton of firsts because you are sitting here pretending as if you don't remember. Mm-hmm. So if I were you, I'd say it quick because Sarah will have to deal with you and not anyone else. And you don't want Sarah to deal with you. Okay?
Although I can't wait until it is and we can see it. I hope they give us that payoff of seeing Sarah rip him a new asshole.
100%. Sarah was not playing. Yeah. She said that
she totally got, It's like, you're lying.
And he was just like, and she's like, now medically speaking. I was like, you better, Sarah.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into our next storyline, which is enter Abe's memories, exit Lonnie and Eli. First of all, can we just start with this? How do we feel about Abe suddenly getting all his memories back?
Oh, that's what we're starting with, Tony. That's the ridiculous part of this story.
You started with the easiest question.
We're gonna start there, and then we'll go.
Her heart just I'm glad he finally got his memories back.
Yes.
Oh God.
The end.
I'll leave it at that.
The end.
Exactly. I'm glad he has
great.
his memory
It's happy. Now let's talk about how he got his memories back.
Okay, yes, the how of it is where I'm like,
y'all didn't think that was lovely that Lexie floated back down to Earth and helped him out again?
It was lovely the first time they did it in like a dream sequence where Abe was unconscious, because that was believable. That it's like, I totally buy that. That was a nice use of it. But to use it again like this and to say that she was just an angel that appeared to both of them, and then the look on, and then like Paulina looked like she looked like she'd been petrified. It was just like,
this was pure comedy. I love it.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing I liked is they at least, I don't know if they used old footage of Renee or they got someone to match her voice, because the voice was really close.
Yeah.
I think no, it didn't. Not to me.
I think they. Well, I mean, at this point, who remembers what Renee sounds like? Like,
I do.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, you know what happened to Lexie? Dead.
Is she?
Okay, Renee Jones had a very particular way of speaking, a very particular voice, and they did match it very closely, but it was different enough that I could tell it was not Renee.
Oh yeah, I didn't think it was her. I just thought I was like, they either got someone or they used like old footage or something.
Yeah, no,
I don't think they used old footage. I think they just found someone that sounded close enough to pass as her.
Yes, and I mean, listen, I will say I don't remember, so I just bought it. I was like, she's been up in heaven looking down for a long time. Maybe she's just been like eating snacks and cookies, and the voice sounded a little different. Everybody sounds different after like what, a decade of being gone.
Oh, her voice changes in heaven. Her voice gets deeper in heaven when it.
Maybe she went up there sounding like Celine Dion and came back down sounding like Toni Braxton. We don't know.
Another sad love song.
So okay, but the thing of it all is what? Not ChatGPT. Get out of here. But here's the thing. Like, you know, we love nostalgia.
Yeah.
It just felt like, you remember how we used to say a phone call could change everything?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A spirit changed everything.
Yes.
Like the spirit came down and they did this with Bo. What was the situation with Sierra and Ben?
When the baby was, when Bo saved the baby, that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that was better because they did it once.
It was better because they did it once, and then they got Peter Reckel actually on the show.
Yes, and those of us who were paying attention accepted it because we knew it was actually going to lead to something. Because I think by that time they had already said that he was going to be on Beyond Salem.
Well, listen, don't you? Oh, and Bo saved Tripp as well. Listen,
yes,
don't you knock Abe's guardian angel? She working overtime now. She technically he got one more miracle left, and that's it. You get three.
It's not like a cat where we're counting lives.
Well, we are, because listen, she came down. She said, "Listen, I'm coming down. I'm gonna help you out." Okay. Then Paulina she said, "Listen, I'm coming down and help you out again. While I'm down here, let me give you memories. Okay, and here's a new heart for you." Now, when she come back down the third time, she's gonna say, "Now look, okay, this it.
3 strikes,
you gotta take care of yourself. 3 strikes, you're out. 3 strikes, I'm strapping up, and I'm in heaven." Next time, other thing, after 3 times, if something happened to you, good luck. I hope somebody else comes down.
The other part of what you just mentioned about Bo saving Tripp and baby Bo was that was in the midst of the end of the possession storyline.
Yes.
Where it fit the context of what was going on. Like, it was a supernatural storyline. Mm-hmm. It made sense in that respect. This was just kind of like, I understand the intent of it. It was supposed to be meaningful, and it's supposed to be, what word you used, Tony? Lovely.
Yes.
It just was like, I just kind of was like, I'm glad he's got his memory back.
Yeah, it was. For me, it was very like the writer's strike is over, so we need to clean this up, and that's why. What's the best way we can clean this medical emergency that we've spent weeks on that is going nowhere? It was very much like
I don't even think we've had the change from strike writers to
I'm being
real
facetious,
writers.
but I think this whether it was new writers or old writers being like, we kind of painted ourselves in a corner here with this storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. How do you fix this? You know.
Also, I think. For me, it would have been a little bit more impactful if we get more brushes of Lexie up until I feel like Lexie's the one character who like died and no one talks about her. No one brings her up. It was even a weird thing with when Johnny was talking about it and he was like, oh, I wish, my family, the Demiras, blah, blah, your family, the Carvers, you guys had a miracle. And I'm thinking, no, the miracle was your aunt, a Demira. Like, I just, that was the disconnect for me that they don't talk about Lexie enough. And then when Johnny was talking about it, he's talking about a Demira who saved the day, his actual aunt, someone he's related to. And it just didn't work for me. I think like they meant it to, even though, I don't know. Again, part of it too is it's not Renee Jones. It's a ghost. The nostalgia is kind of nice, but I think if it were Renee Jones now,
we would.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We would love it.
Love it.
We'll talk later. Renee Jones is living her life.
Not Justin being the slippery sleuth and probably giving the only update that anybody knows about Renee Jones.
Oh no, Michael has a tea on that too.
Michael is confused.
I do
Moving
not.
on.
Yes, you told me.
Huh?
You told me. We'll talk later. We'll tell you guys later.
You're gonna have to remind me, Justin, because I don't.
Anywho's it. So also, I do love the fact that they brought Eli and Lonnie back in because it's very appropriate. But now they're already gearing up for them to be like, we ain't staying in Salem. Yeah, we gotta go. We just here for a short time and a good time. And then we out.
But I'm okay
now
with
for a
it.
long time.
Right. Because we on other shows.
I'm okay with it because Sal and Lamone are doing very well. But they choose to come back when they can. So I'm okay with it.
There's just something that, and I've said this before, with those two, and maybe it's because they made such an impact when they were on full time. Something just feels right when they're back, when they're, they interact with the right people. They see Julie. Yeah. Julie's all happy as pig and shit to see them, and it's just like it. I don't know. It's just it makes sense when they're back, and it makes sense, And I'm glad that Lonnie's been released like fully, right? Or does she have to go back to jail, right? Okay, so that wrong was righted by this return.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that a couple of weeks ago. There was a week where I feel like some wrongs were righted finally, and that was one of them.
No,
because that girl should have never been sent to jail.
Well, she was the only one that actually lived out her prison term for something that she really didn't even do it.
Like it was totally defensible. Meanwhile, Kristen gets immunity every time she goes to jail. It's ridiculous.
She gets the slow walk out of the Salem PD, along with the crew. And also, I'm glad that Eli and Julie had that moment together to just kind of catch up, and because you need to be reminded of who's related to who. Look who's related. So, all right. Well, now we are going to get into some tidbits, and before we do, we just want to remind you of a few things. Number one, make sure you follow us on social media. Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, X, and Threads. Also, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching us live, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. If not, go to YouTube and hit the subscribe button. That way you can watch us live. Also, listen to us on your favorite podcast station. Look up Dishin Days on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Now, buy our merch. 1 week. That's it. Shutting the show down. DishinDays.threadless.com.
The site, not the show.
What?
You said
the merch.
the merch.
It's the last week for the merch, not the last
week for the merch.
I feel like that would have been a bigger announcement.
Well, this is true. Although I think some people were worried when we weren't here for 2 weeks. I was like, child, we just need to rest sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And also make sure you show some love to JLJ Media on YouTube and on our podcast. Now, getting into some quick tidbits, because coming up, we have the one and only Eric Martsolf joining us. But let's talk about gabbing about Salome. First of all, wait, was it this week? Was she on this week?
No, she wasn't on this week. I didn't.
That's right.
I didn't see her. If she was on this week, I didn't see her.
Yeah.
Well, last week, she was. It was filled in.
Mm-hmm.
By Natasha.
What did they say about Salome? I must have missed this.
No, they were just like, it was the whole conversation with Eric, Marlena, Brady, and Roman, and how she was just, they were talking about the christening and the godparents, and how Sloane's, got tanked, which I was like, that was a while ago. You're still talking about it?
Yeah, I know. That was weird.
It was just like kind of a that conversation was just kind of, it didn't move anything along.
It was just a reminder. A reminder.
Roman did not know Sloane got shit.
Also, Eric, maybe tell someone else that story about Sloane. Maybe not tell your parents and or tell Marlena that she's struggling as a mom. Like, he's this like weird like relationship they're building with him and with Eric and his parents, especially Marlena, is just like, get a friend or something. Stop involving much in your marriage.
You're not doing anything to endear your wife to your mother.
Exactly. Right, especially their tension. Like, she's not the person you go to for that.
Mm-hmm. No, but at the same time, like, I get it. They're first-time parents. Those are his parents. So maybe Marlena may have some advice about struggling as a first-time mom.
That went over so well the last time Sloane asked her. Well, you know about my dead baby. Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
Moving on. We now have the Horton cabin, which is the sugar shack.
I was actually really happy that Sarah offered. I feel like Sarah didn't have a storyline this week. She was kind of all over the place, and
she was this week. She popped in.
She was dipping and dabbing with everybody.
Yes, but it wasn't like, oh, Sarah, why are you here? It's like, no, she's supposed to be here.
Yeah,
that's an appropriate conversation for her to have.
Yeah.
And now that we're
so Johnny and Chanel are going to go bang on the Horton cabin.
Lovely.
Good for them. Get it, Chanel?
I don't know. I got something seems, the fact that like
what?
What?
Like, isn't it weird that Sarah's like, oh, by the way, you could have the Horton cabin? Like, it just seems like a setup.
Oh. Well, I think it's because that when they were saying like, we don't want to go too far, but we still want to have a honeymoon or something.
I think she was just being nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. In what respect do you feel like it's a setup? Like there's not being set up for something.
It's like the storyline is a setup for something because it was just like
randomly bring up the Horton cabin. Okay.
Because listen, if y'all had said something about we just got married, I wouldn't offer y'all nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a reason. Anyway.
We'll see. I mean, maybe you're right, because shit does go down to the Horton cabin a lot, if history has said anything.
Yes,
there's a reason that something will happen and the boats won't be running and they'll be stranded. And
Johnny will miss the ferry and Chanel is on the island by herself and she can't find it. Now she Little Red riding Chanel in the forest and gets lost and stumbles upon somebody who just fell off a motorcycle and carries him back to the cabin and gets her feet massaged and all. Oh, that's already happened. Well, let's talk about somebody else who's still here. Konstantin.
So on the last, excuse me, on the last show y'all did, I wasn't here for that. Was there any speculation about who started the Horton house fire? Because I feel like we got a nugget this week, and it was in this storyline.
If we got a nugget, I missed it.
What?
So
I'm still on the Nick train. I mean, not Nick. What's the name? Ricky,
Everett,
not Ricky Bobby.
Everett Bobby, Ricky Bobby. Yeah.
Everett. What's the combo name we came up with?
Oh, did you guys?
Bobberette.
No.
I'm on the Bobberette train. I'm still on that train for some reason. I don't know. There's something.
So this week it was said that Konstantin recognized John by his eyes.
Oh.
The eyes are all we saw of whoever started the Horton cabin or the Horton fire, because he was wearing a mask. Okay, during the conversation that Steve and Marlena were having, when John killed Katerina, Konstantin's daughter, Konstantin didn't see his face but saw his eyes.
Okay.
And said he recognized John by his eyes he recognized John by his eyes, right? They made a point when whoever was setting the fire in the Horton, I keep wanting to say Horton cabin, Horton house.
Yeah.
That they focused on the person's eyes. And I kind of thought, when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's Drake. I kind of thought that, but then I was like, I don't know if they would make John. But then there was another nugget. Don't say no to me. No, there was another nugget when Roman, Kate, and it could be a red herring. They could be trying to make us think it's John when it's not. But in the middle of my speech, but thank you, McFloyd.
Oh, thank you, McFloyd.
Gave us $30.
Appreciate you.
So there, I believe another nugget and I can't remember exactly what he said, but John said something when he, Marlena, Kate, and Roman all met at the pub before they went over to help at the house. John made a comment, and they kind of held on him for a minute, and I kind of thought, oh, maybe it was John, and maybe that's why he's like not sleeping. Maybe that's why he's having all these personality changes, because something's going on, and maybe he is the one that torched the house.
Do you mean John as the pawn, like from Konstantin's orders? Is that what you mean?
Maybe, yeah.
Oh,
maybe.
But I
haven't figured out what my rationale for that yet. But I think it was John, because I remember thinking when they showed his face, I was like, that looks like Drake. But I mean, just my.
No, I don't. I hate to disagree with you, but the reasoning.
You hate to disagree.
The reasoning. I hate to disagree with Michael. Because
I handle it so well.
The reasoning and the timing just doesn't quite add up. So I'm not really sold on that theory. I had a thought that maybe it was Everett. But even that, it was kind of like, because it was very clear that Clyde ordered the Horton cabin to be burned down.
There's also, this happened weeks before, but there's also there's some things with Everett we're finding out now. Exactly. There's a weird father figure that we don't know about, that Everett doesn't talk about and will not talk about. So there's some speculation there of who is his father, and does this, is his father someone we know? Does his father have some control over him? Does this, So
I don't know. This storyline is getting very interesting because, I think this is a different time for John and Steve. And, Steve wasn't as goody-goody as, he is now. And he knows a lot about this time period of John's life that he hasn't shared. So there's a lot of layers to this. The fact that as the pawn, John killed Konstantin's Katerina, which is his daughter, right?
Yeah.
Killed his daughter. Steve has been aware of it. Now John is aware of it. And now John kind of looks at Steve like, you were able to tell Marlena what I did, but not me. So there's a lot of layers to this for sure. On top of the fact that I guess Maggie is starting to have some feelings.
And this is where it always trips me up. Like, I agree that I can totally get behind this in the way that it has devastating emotional fallout for John and Steve and Marlena. But this guy's continued presence in Maggie's life, especially now that Steve has revealed to Marlena, who's not just going to sit back on this. She might keep Steve's confidence about what happened with John, but she's not going to sit back and let this guy clearly take advantage of Maggie. That is continuing. Yeah, no. Get him out of Maggie's life. Get him out of that house. I can't. It's just, it's icky.
I also think there might be some ambiguity about if John did kill this woman. The story isn't, from everyone that tells the story, it's like, I think Konstantin even said when he walked in, I think his daughter was dead and John was there, but there's no actual story of him killing her. So I think there might be a little, not a twist, but I think there might be a lot more to the story that we don't know yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that John doesn't know, but Steve seems to know.
Yes. Either way, none of this information coming out warrants Konstantin's continued presence in Maggie's life.
It's just weird to me that Maggie doesn't see like there's something a little off about him.
Yeah.
A little.
Because I feel like he's very pushy towards this relationship. And I know that once you get to a certain age, you're just kind of like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
But even then, like the timing is just off.
A predator is a predator. I don't care what decade you're in.
Well, there's that. Well, that has been your week of days. We are going to continue on with our show. And in just a few minutes, we will be joined by Brady Black, Mr. Eric Martsolf himself. But we are going to go into our segments. And we're going to start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Oh, snap!
All right. First of all, my 3 Snaps Award goes to no other than Miss Sarah Horton, Lindsay Godfrey. For that moment, she was looking at Harris being like, listen, I know you know. Get my man out of jail. Thank you. Because while she was saying everything needed to be saying, she wasn't saying what she was actually thinking. So for that, Sarah Horton, for slyly telling Harris that he needs to get it together before he has to deal with you, you get Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Oh, snap!
And now it's time for
Caption that.
All right, this week's Caption that comes courtesy of 2 of everybody's favorite characters. Just kidding. Hold for applause. And this week's Caption comes courtesy of our friend Brianne Eor1017 on Instagram with her caption, and this is a throwback to the 80s. I have a headache this big, and it's got Excedrin written all over it. This picture brought to you by Excedrin. Remember those commercials where they're like, I have a headache this big? I thought it was funny.
Do you remember the commercials that they used to do during days?
Summer's Eve and
That's
oh wait, yeah, they did do it.
Yes.
When Sammy was on the rag and she took out the tampon.
Yeah, yes.
Oh my gosh, no.
There was one for cereal. If anyone is watching and can pull up those, please send them to us.
I appreciate the attempts at getting some extra money by reinstating something that was done like back in the early days of the TVs, but it just, when you're the only show doing it,
no,
Yeah, it doesn't work. It didn't work. But hey, it probably kept him on the air for a little while, or paid some bills. So,
and that was
Caption that.
And now it's time for
Those Were the Days.
All right, taking you back to March 13th, 1992, where we had Robert Kelker Kelly take over as Bo and debut as Bo. A bit controversial. I think there's always been teams regarding this, whether I think the general consensus is that people like Peter Reckel with Christian Alfonso, but people really sort of loved Robert Kelker Kelly with both Carly and Lisa Rinna as Billy. In addition to the controversy,
except Lisa Rinna.
Lisa, what?
I said except Lisa Rinna. Apparently, Lisa Rinna hated the guy.
I'm gonna go there. Yes,
that's her. Oh, sorry.
As much controversy in front of the camera, there was just as much behind the scenes, including women, Lisa Rinna and Christian Alfonso, sort of teaming up to talk about their displeasure in sort of removing him from the show. There was the getting together with Miriam Parrish, who played Jamie on the show at a particular age. There was Alison Sweeney's parents pulling her off the show for a time because of some things that may have been going on behind the scenes. So a lot of controversy surrounding this casting, but at least on screen, I think it was a hit for the character in terms of the relationships and where they went with Bo. But yeah, March 13th, 1992, where Robert Kelker Kelly came on as Bo for a few years.
When we were watching, when I was first watching, and they made the switch from him to Peter Reckel, my mom had to tell me why it was such a big deal and such a good thing. Because this guy was my first Bo. He was who I knew was Bo as Bo. Then he left, and Peter Reckel came in. And my mom was like, "Oh no, this is the original Bo. This is like good Bo." So,
yeah. Not so
good
much.
Time. I forgot about
and
him.
I forgot
about him and Jamie. What's her name?
Oh,
good tea.
Those were the days.
wrong button.
Huh?
Never mind.
Oh, and now it's time for
It's a gift.
And this week's It's a Gift goes to Paulina Price. I'm gonna let it play. Do it again. Do it again. Yeah, this is not.
You know that look when you like cough and a little fart comes out.
Oh my god! I'm just thinking, like, if you. Is this the reaction the true reaction you have to seeing a ghost?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it is. Like, it's not with reverence.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And that was
It's a gift.
And now it's time for
News and gossip.
Okay, we're going with this already. Starting out with news and gossip.
Oh wait, did I skip one?
No, I thought we were going straight to the guest. Okay.
Oh no.
Okay. We're starting off. Daytime. Really, really great news. I think a couple weeks ago we talked about the amazing good news we had about Days on Peacock. We also heard from outside of Days, Y&R getting a 4-year renewal. Mm-hmm. Now we are expanding Daytime. It is doing so well. We have a new daytime drama, actually 2 of them. First one is a partnership between CBS and NAACP, a new daytime drama called The Gates. This one will focus on a wealthy Black family living in a gated community, very reminiscent of Generations that we had the late 80s, early 90s that also starred James Reynolds. So look forward to that. We have a brand new soap that is crazy, and the idea of it, we would have never said a couple years ago. So looks like Daytime is on a definite upswing. In addition to that, we have another new soap that was announced recently, a new digital show. This one is going to co-star Vincent Irizarry and Jordi Villasuso, and also some of you may know Adam Huss from General Hospital. Mm-hmm. They are starting. Premise of this one is a PR agency PR agency that is covering sort of award season. So that's the premise of it. That one actually just started filming in LA this past week. So that one will come out before the Gates one, but we will keep you updated. But just amazing news. And also, sorry, let me get the name right. Sonia Blangiardo, who's a Days director, is also a consulting producer on this one. So a Days connection there outside of Vincent and Jordy on the show. But yeah, just amazing news that Daytime is expanding. Who knew that we would be announcing a new soap and then a new digital soap? So yeah, great news all around for the industry.
Yeah. I mean, the news for the Gates was so big that it was trending on regular Twitter in the news section, not soap Twitter. It was actually in the regular trending section as number 4 in the world. So that's how big that news was.
Yeah.
And all of these actors that were announced for the digital soap for the Boulevard are just, I mean, you know them, 2 of them are vets. It's just, it's all good news all around. And next up, we have some not so great news. Our poor dear Greg Vaughn got stricken with altitude sickness. He was supposed to be on a relaxing spring break trip to Colorado with his sons, and he started not feeling well and went to urgent care and actually realized he had altitude sickness and ended up in urgent care. We're so sorry that your trip with your boys got cut short, Greg, but we wish you a speedy recovery. Yeah, guys, going to new places, no joke.
And for an update, he went live today, so check his Instagram for an update.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes. Up next, we have an interview with Tina Andrews for The Locker Room. Tina Andrews was the original. She originated the role of Valerie Grant on Days back in the late 70s into the early 80s. Since then, she's become an amazing writer. She's on The Locker Room to talk about Days, talk about her literary sort of history, and also she has a new project coming out. She is writing the book for I'm Every Woman, the Shaka Khan musical, which is debuting on the West End, and hopefully will come to Broadway. So yeah, Tina Andrews, who's gone on to some really great things since leaving Days as Valerie. But go check out that interview. It should be really interesting.
Yep. And next up, we have a date. The 51st annual Daytime Emmys will be broadcast live on CBS Friday, June 7th, 8 to 10 p.m. Easterns. The nominations, the host, and the Lifetime Achievement honoree will be announced in the coming weeks. So keep your news section on, folks.
Next up,
Tony and I are already tired.
I'm excited.
We haven't recovered from the 50th.
Yeah, right. Next up, we have some fun casting news. Our lovely Deidre Hall is going to be co-starring in the new season of Hacks later on this year. She's actually going to be doing most of her scenes opposite legend and icon Mr. Christopher Lloyd there. I'm curious to see what this pairing is going to be, but it should be funny. Hacks is just a great show. And this funny way this came about, one of the producers on the show, his mother is a huge Days fan and just randomly suggested Deidre. It's like, you need to get Deidre on the show. I think she'll be fun. And so it sort of snowballed from there. And yes, she will be on the new season of Hacks premiering late this year. Once we get confirmation,
I love that show.
Yeah, we'll do a reminder as it gets closer. But yeah, congrats.
Oh my, yeah, that's going to be so much fun. And speaking of fun, Mr. Tony Moore, you have some place that you're going to be next week.
Fun.
Yes, Mr. Tony Moore will be at Daytime Pride 24 next week. This is next week in National Harbor.
When is it?
Next week. This looks so much fun. With Cameron Grimes and Kate Fairbanks from The Young and the Restless, and our very own Mike Manning and Colton Little. If you haven't yet gotten your tickets and you are in the area, again, this is next week. SpectrumCelebrityEvents.com for your tickets. Let's go.
Is it going to be fun?
I think it's going to be fun.
Big fun.
Big fun.
These are all fun people.
Next up,
Go to Baltimore.
next up, we have a little Jack and Jennifer reunion. Matt Ashford and Melissa Reeves will reunite for a Zoom happening on Wednesday, April 24th, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Eventbrite. All tickets and information, you can go to eventbrite.ca. This should be a fun one. They're always fun on screen together.
Yeah. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time to bring on our special guest for today. We have not seen him on Dishin Days since he was in his pajamas with Jen Lilly. Well, that was the official one. He's popped in before, but we have lots to talk to him about. So please help me welcome the one, the only, Mr. Eric Martsolf.
Hey, guys.
Hi, Eric.
Hey.
How you doing? Happy St.
Repping the
Patrick's
passion.
Day to you.
Love it.
Happy St. Patrick. Look, you have on your green.
Oh my gosh, the hat.
Wait, is it green?
You like the hat?
I love it.
Okay. I busted this
Breathe
out.
in, breathe out.
I was walking around the kitchen and my wife was like, I've never seen that hat before. Like I've had it since 2003. So
Oh my gosh.
where's my green, Tony? What are you talking about? I don't have any green on.
That's
Oh,
trippy.
I thought it was. I thought the hat was green, but then you came up closer, and I was like, oh, it's not green.
It's black. It probably has some mold on it or something. It's all right, Michael. I'm just kidding. I wash it every other day. On your face. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
Well, Martsolf, it's
Get
great
this
to
light
have
in
you.
here. Hold on a
It's
second.
great to have you on the show. It's been a minute, and so we I feel like we have lots to dive into.
I'm excited. It has been a while, and I'm very happy to be here. You're right. I'm still in my pajamas though. So
I don't think anyone is going to argue with the fact that you are in your pajamas.
It's Sunday.
I feel comfortable with you guys, and I was like, you know what, let's just keep it casual and
Keep it casual.
Let's get right into it. Love all the news. There's so much news going on in the soap world right now. I just want to throw it out there. I was so happy to hear about the gates. I was so happy to hear about the Boulevard. I mean, for all those folks out there that think soaps are slowing down in any way, I call horseshit. Everything's with the accelerator down on the floor, and I love it. I love all the fact that it was trending. I love that you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, things on the upswing. Yeah,
good stuff. It's all good stuff for our genre and those of us that have been doing this for God knows how long.
I mean, for people who think that Grey's Anatomy is like the big success story, don't get me wrong, it is, but I'm sorry, daytime paved the way.
Girl, couldn't agree with you more. It's a glorified soap with better lighting. That's all Grey's Anatomy.
And lots of big medical words.
And admittedly, maybe a little bit more medical accuracy.
I mean, listen, I don't know if anybody's coming back from the dead in that hospital, but if they are.
But I'm pretty sure if they're on life support, unlike Paulina, they might have a couple more tubes.
A tube or two.
A little bit. Yeah.
That was very funny. Somebody tweeted that, and I was like, yeah.
I love that. That's what bothered them, not that the ex-wife or the
ghost coming back.
Late wife,
yeah. No, that's okay. But you need a tube, like you need a catheter. You need this. You need all this stuff.
Not the
Not a catheter.
Let's keep it real. You need catheter.
Too far.
But before we get into all of our questions, I have to, because I know she's going to text me in a second and say, don't forget what I said. But Eric Martsolf, my mother, who has found her way into the show in this chat, says, hello, my friend. Hope all is well. Long time. Miss seeing you from when she was running around with me on all the soap events. So hello to you from my mother.
Mildred Moore. She's always had my heart. My God. Is she watching right now?
She is watching right now.
Okay. Well, Mildred, I miss you. And her smile at those events, I swear to God, sometimes she just got me through them, man. She's a wonderful lady, and you're lucky to have her as a mom, Tony. You really are.
I am. I truly I am my mother's son. So we are very much alike. But I'll tell you a secret. She didn't know who y'all were back then, but she knows who y'all are now.
I mean, in a way, Tony, you've always been our publicist from day one. I mean, you are. Without you, I don't think anybody would know who the heck we were. Anyway.
Well, okay, so Eric, I have to ask you because, like, I feel like we have seen so many iterations of Brady, and Brady has gone through so much, like, over the years. How would you describe Brady currently?
He's pretty consistent in his lack of being able to handle a loving relationship. He's just unlucky in love, but it's fun to watch. I've embraced it at this point. And I'll be honest with you, after, I don't know, 17 years on Days, maybe 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where's the super couple? Why hasn't that been established yet? Why isn't he with where's the John and Marlena status? Why isn't he and the new, I think I've learned to embrace the fact that it's a lot of fun to watch him just go off the rails and be in these dysfunctional relationships. And, they're really maybe there is only one John and Marlena. You can only have, strawberries and bubble baths for so long before you just want the train to go off the tracks. And even though you have the Kristen and Brady thing has always been very fun. It's up and down. I think it's a recipe that soap operas need. You can't always have everyone happy all the time. But to answer your question more poignantly, I think Brady's a dad right now. I mean, obviously,
he's in dad mode.
And it's interesting, you guys, because I have two soon-to-be 18-year-old boys.
Yeah.
And I believe Tate is approximately 18, 17 on the
17,
show.
Yeah.
Marnie called me up. She's like, Eric, your son's getting older. We're bringing him on. But I really embraced it because on Passions, I had a son, but I didn't actually have a son in life. And I still say one of the best things you can have as an actor is life experience.
Yeah.
The conversations I'm having with Tate are so reflective of what I'm having with Chase and Mason right now in my own home. So it's hardly work. I feel like I leave set and then I go home and say the same damn thing. I'm like, oh, Mason, let me get my script. Hold on a second. Listen.
Yeah.
Obviously the drug thing. They don't have the drug thing, but the whole taking responsibility and, hey man, get a job, deal with your stuff. And I would love to tell you about what's coming up in the next 6 months, but of course I can't.
Yeah.
But we want you to keep your job.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I really feel for you in that respect because I mean, the teenage years are no joke. I mean, I'm feeling it. I'm drinking because of it right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's a circus and you love them, but my God.
It's like
just feel like they know everything. There's not one thing that you could possibly teach them, and they got it all figured out. And I don't need your help.
And the worst thing is when they realize just how much they don't know, and you realize the sheer helplessness.
Yeah.
But you also realize, because I have a 19-year-old niece, and I have realized that I am now my parents. Like, I look at her sometimes and I go, oh, honey, you think you know, but you have no idea. But you go ahead, and you'll know.
And the hardest thing to do is sometimes you have to let them fall on their face to really figure it out.
Yeah.
That's hard to do as a parent. You're like, I could throw the parachute, but I don't.
You don't want it.
If I keep throwing parachutes, that doesn't really. You do your kids a disservice.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not giving you a spoiler. I just was sitting down with Tate. Brady was just sitting Tate down. He looked him dead in the face and he put his hand on his face and went, "I'm not going to tell you what to do. You figure it out."
Yeah.
Hard love is coming. And you guys, it's so cool because these were the same things Drake was telling Brady. I'm mixing up characters and names, but my father on the show was, it's like a mirror. It really is. Fans are starting to throw me images and scenes that are extremely reflective of what's going on with Tate. So it's cool that it's it's generational. It's really coming around.
Yeah. It's so funny you say that, Eric, because that was one of my questions. Is it easy for you to get into that dad mode with Jamie? And how is that relationship, like him coming on? He's a young actor. you're sort of a pro at this. You're playing his dad. You have kids his age. It's, you know, the meta of it all. It's easy just to kind of snap right in there, even though, like you said, the circumstances aren't exactly the same.
Well, first of all, yeah, I'm so sorry Jamie wasn't able to be here today. He's a student at University of Michigan, for God's sake.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
But he and I, first of all, were cut from the same cloth in the sense he's a musical theater guy. He is a dancer. He's a singer. I mean, within 5 minutes, he was in my dressing room. We're supposed to be running lines, and we're like singing Rodgers and Hammerstein at the top of our lungs. You know, you got everyone, you know, pounding on, shut, be quiet. We're like, just singing Sound of Music. We're like, it's all good. So we bonded right away on that front. But he's a smart kid, and he really tapped into the family dynamic quickly. Even I would say even more so with Emily as Teresa. I mean, the scenes that they have had and the connectivity that those two have displayed, I think really turned a lot of people's heads. I mean, we all know how crazy that transition was for Emily, right?
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Yeah, I had 3 years. You know, Brady was off the screen for 3 years, and so that's easier. You know.
Yeah.
But when your transition is literally through an airport gate,
which is my favorite. It will go down.
I knew you'd love it. You loved it, didn't you?
Look, I told Emily this at Day of Days. I said I loved the Gwen like monologue send off, and then Gwen exit left, and then you came out and looked back and said, Teresa, come on. And she came back out as Teresa. I loved it. Okay. I was like, now listen.
And I love that you loved it.
I love a transition.
Yeah, I loved it too. But I'll tell you who didn't really love it. Emily.
Yeah. But she found her stride.
Yeah.
Of course she did. And I'm glad you said that, because that's my point. Like I don't think there's ever been a quicker transition where you've asked an audience to go, okay, you need to accept this now. Go.
Yeah.
She was really struggling with it, but you know what? Fast forward a couple weeks, and once she found Teresa's footing and got into it, and the scenes she's had with her son and some that are coming up, I think people are being convinced that this was a good decision, and she's really kicking ass as Teresa, and we have some very mature parenting things going on right now with Brady and Teresa, and to think where they started from, which was in rehab. It's really a nice journey to see that these two broken people are all of a sudden dealing with these grown-up issues and trying to put an 18-year-old on the right path. And, with all the lunacy that Days of Our Lives sometimes, dives into, it's fun to really go back to its roots and see here's a family just trying to...
The heart. Yeah. It's the heart of the...
Exactly, Michael. And the heart of the show, I think, is the one thing that's going to keep it on for another, who knows?
Yeah. Eric, how do you pull from that frustration? I wonder, because you're now on the show, you play co-parents with two different mothers, two very different women right now.
Very different
women. And you yourself are lucky enough to be in a happy marriage with a woman who you've raised your children with, and you how do you pull from that? Do you pull from that, or I just don't. I wonder, because it's that seems like such a weird flip to do.
You mean are you speaking real life into?
Yeah, because it's easy to speak to the teenage aspect of it, because a teenager is a teenager, and unfortunately, it's not hard to pull from that. But it's you where you are, and Eric and Brady where he is, very different places.
Yeah,
you couldn't be. That is true. But I will say. I mean, you described my relationship at home here as happy. It is happy. It's good. I have a wonderful, but it's not an Instagram perfect kind of thing either. I mean, let's face it. Lisa and I, we have our times. She is a fiery, lovely, strong woman, and she has her opinions. And I'm a stubborn Leo that loves my opinions as well. So we're used to. What do you call it? Loving combat? I don't know. What keeps people together? It's not someone that rolls over and just goes, okay. we're together and we're strong.
There's a respect
because of that. Exactly. There's a respect there. And much like Kristen and Brady, of course, it's not the same.
It's definitely not the same.
But there's also that, just like Lisa and I have this Leo Taurus, but we can't stay away from each other.
Yeah.
That's Brady and Kristen for you too.
Ah, she's a Taurus. Okay.
Oh, yeah. So
I like her.
Are you into that, Michael? I'm not really into the astrology.
I respect her because I am one of her. Yeah.
That's why you remind me of my wife so much. But you're right. It's fun. The funny thing is, I have such a frivolous, silly relationship with Stacey Hydu.
Yeah,
she and I mean, Stacey, she just loves life, and she smiles through struggle, and she smiles through frustration and pain. The girl just always has the glasses always half full. And her wine glasses usually always half full.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, but she's a lot of fun, so we really have to reel it in when we get on set. We just kind of look at each other and go, let's switch it up and get into the nitty gritty, because she's a mom too. She is a mom with a wonderful daughter, but just as fiery. And so we have lots to talk about. I have sons they don't lie down either. They come up swinging. They're like, Dad, what are you talking about? You don't know anything. Let me go to this thing. They're at this thing right now called Rolling Loud in downtown.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
They took my car, and six dudes showed up this morning making banana pancakes. And I walk into the kitchen. I'm like, hey, how's it going? They're like, Dad, can we have $60? I'm like, wow. And they're off, and they're down there. I don't know. I hope they come back.
I think that you're lucky that you only asked for $60.
Yeah, right.
Well, $60.
So you got off cheap.
Yeah.
Each.
Remember, everything is two for me.
When
I say
$100,
double everything in my life.
Oh, they're having fun.
That's kids. They're having a good time.
Speaking of Kristen, I feel like those scenes you have with Stacey, as you just described, they're really physical. What I mean by that, like, you're always either grabbing each other, touching each other in each other's space. Is a lot of that written, or is that just you and Stacey sort of coming together and deciding, this is how we're gonna play it. This is how we're gonna sort of manifest this. Yeah, like a relationship.
Like how much action lines are actually needed for you two, or is there a comfortability in this? Is just snowballing off of Justin's question. Do the producers and the writers know that you guys can figure it out on your own? You just need the words.
That's a really good question. I'm literally sitting here thinking, do we actually look at the fine print when we're there is a lot of physicality, and I would say yes and no. Sometimes it's definitely written in there. There was a time recently I tossed a gun onto her, and I threw her down onto a desk and stuck the gun into her gut and said, you're not doing this. That was scripted. Okay. But a lot of the times when she will grab my face, and I'll take it. A lot of that is instinctual. To your point, Michael. Yeah, there is a trust factor with Stacey, but then again, she's game for anything.
We've heard that from Paul, her and Paul Telfer. Sometimes when they were involved in the storyline together, they had some physical slaps and whatnot, and they explained that they just developed a comfortability with each other, that there was a trust that they could go far, but they wouldn't go too far.
Sure. I mean, look, you don't in today's day and age, or in any day and age, you don't put your hands on an actor without letting them know what's going on.
Yeah,
that's just courtesy, and that's for everyone's safety. But that said, sometimes Stacey and I will get a little feisty, and that's part of the fun when you develop and have that chemistry with someone. You don't shut that down. You let that fly, and as long as she's comfortable and I'm comfortable, we want that frustration to come through, whether through audio or through visually or through physicality, and it's that's the fun stuff. And
what about years? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Araceli.
Well, you had years to develop that, that vulnerability and that trust with Stacey. I'm curious of how you had to do that with Emily so quickly.
That's a good
you
question.
still had to build a combative, because there's a combativeness there too, but there's a connection. There has to be.
Yeah, and I didn't have the pleasure of working with Emily a lot. When she portrayed Gwen, she and Brady barely spoke. Yeah. So it was once again, it was quick. I mean, I know you've had actors speak about the pace of what soaps are doing right now and how difficult it is. And I would say that is the craziest element of what we do right now is how fast we do it. Emily knocked on my door. Hi, yeah, I'm Emily. I'm like, I know your name's Emily. It's like, I'm taking over Teresa and I don't know what? Tell me all about her. Like, what?
Oh my God.
What? You know, and and she's lovely and she's an open book just like Stacey is, but Emily cared so much about making it good. And she was so worried about how they were going to perceive her. And I sat her down. I said, I know about the recasting thing. My whole soap life was about taking over two characters, Ethan Crane and Brady Black. So I feel you. I get your pain. But girl, the football is yours now. Yeah. You run with it. It's been given to you. The powers that be think you can do it. I loved you as Gwen. You're a strong actress. Let's just run and see where it goes. And I remember that day in my dressing room, she just kind of breathed in, breathed out, went, okay, let's do it. And she just fell into it. And I don't know.
I think that was comforting for her because we saw her at Day of Days. Yeah. And when we saw her at Day, she was so nervous still. Yeah. Even, she had been in the Gwen shoes for a few months now, and it was kind of new to the audience, and you could just see like she was just a little bit like pensive about afraid about what people were going to say to her because then people were saying stuff online, and you all know how that goes, and the lack of filters and everything. But to have
that's the beauty of her though, right? I mean, the fact that she was willing to show us that vulnerability.
Yeah. How was the transition for obviously you had this conversation with her prior to shooting scenes with her as Teresa, but how was it for you? Was it literally like a same day turnaround where you walked off with, or wait, you weren't in that scene, sorry. But no, just working with her as Teresa versus Jen Lilly, who had just been there, was that like any tricky for you or?
Yeah, Mike, it was weird for everybody. Mm-hmm. It was weird for everybody because, I mean, Jen had just been on as Teresa. The circumstances surrounding as to how long she was going to be on were sketchy and gray. Mm-hmm. We were all trying to figure out answers. And when that decision came down that Emily was going to be Teresa, I'll be honest with you, it was fast and it was unexpected. It wasn't like I was brought to the side and told, hey, man, get ready. This is what's going on. There might be some. But it's all part of the soap world that we all love. Yeah. What goes on backstage is almost, I've always said, much more interesting than what you're seeing.
It was all for us though. It was all like as seamless as it could possibly go in all respects. So
yeah, I mean, that's why I was asking. They threw this wig on her head. And she was like, well, what is this? I literally watched them put that wig on, and within 2 minutes was what you saw. Like, it wasn't, wow. Usually actresses or actors will get hours of wig prep and, discussions about it. And they were like, come here, go, be her. Yeah. And so, I'm sorry that this conversation has dominated this particular subject, but I just think it's worthy of noting how terrific she was in that transition.
Yeah. That's all. Well, absolutely. We talked about it, and while it was quick, you can tell that Emily is such a talented person that right out the gate, she got literally out the gate. She got the essence of Teresa. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain finesse that Jen Lilly had as Teresa, and I think Emily got that, but then was able to lay the foundation, but then put her talents on top of it.
Yeah.
And while we wish we had maybe like the usual length of time when actors do like take on a new role or something like that, we wish we had a little bit of time to kind of, you know, let Jen kind of fade a little bit so that we can really welcome in Emily. I think we all agree. Emily came in and did an amazing job with as quick as she had to do it. But it's a testament to just how talented she is. So good for her. Good for her.
Look at this. We're just a big old Emily O'Brien.
Emily O'Brien fan club.
We're talking about her for a second, or I mean, what is this?
I mean, I've been a fan of her since she was on Young and the Restless, and she really did play she played the same person on that show, but by the time she had wrapped her run on that show, she was like completely night and day different from who she had started as. So I knew that she could pull it off. I was less worried about that and more like zoned in on you two building yourselves up as parents of a teenager. Because I credit Jamie so much for that, because he just really just came in just guns blazing, and I'm furious. I am absolutely furious that the daytime Emmys have gotten rid of their younger actor category and the rules behind that, because I'm like, he needed to be there.
Yeah. 100%.
That was his zone to win.
Yeah, I love your passion about that, because I couldn't agree with you more. He just came in guns blazing, and he was just as vulnerable to you, by the way. He came to my room several times as well, and he's like, I don't know if what I'm doing is good enough, dude. I think I'm like ready to like Tate. I don't know what, like, I'm getting no feedback from anybody, because we don't get feedback. No one comes up to you. Don't come up. You're like, you were really good today. It does happen sometimes, but rarely. And I just sung his praises and held him and said, dude, I'm so proud to be your TV dad right now, because people are gonna love you. You're kicking ass.
Yeah.
Really? I'm like, yes, you are. And he moved out here from Michigan. He was living with, I dropped him off one day, he was living with his vocal coach, I think. Like up in, like somewhere in the valley, and away from his, you know, his core and his friends and his family from school. And just came in here all by himself and was expected to be this kid with all these issues. So, you know, cheers to him. He did, you know, between him and Emily, I got lucky. Because my whole family changed in the blink of an eye. I'm like, oh God, can this work? And in fear of waving my own flag, I think it's working. I think it's coming across.
It's definitely it's 100% working.
Cool. Yeah, you two definitely had a rapport, like a father-son rapport from the beginning, I will say. Like you guys just did really good in that respect. And
that's what musical theater does for people.
Musical theater, bringing people together.
I was gonna ask, other than the dressing room karaoke, did you guys like, I know Stephen Nichols and Mary Beth Evans, when they have new children on screen, will like take them out to dinner, spend time with them before they start filming. Did you guys need to do that, or was that pretty much it?
We didn't go to dinner, but I don't know if you guys know about my dressing room. My dressing room is kind of serves as the hub downstairs. I created a sectional downstairs because I realized nobody has seating, let alone running lines. No one has seating in these rooms to have like 3 or 4 or 5 people. So I actually, at one point, I just grabbed a couch from another room and I karate chopped the side of it off and created a sectional. It was Mark Hopka and I at the time. I think he helped me make this sectional.
Oh, wow.
And so people conglomerate there, but no, I mean, Jamie would just come in and he'd lie back and be like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing okay. And we'd just have these frank discussions about the industry and what he wants to do. He has Broadway ambitions. You know, he wants to dance. And he's a very creative kid. But no, we didn't do dinners or anything like that. I don't know if I've discussed this with you, but I always said the way to keep your spouse like okay with what you're doing with your current love interest on the show is just to get your spouse to meet the girl. You know, because the unknown's the worst. You know, so that's always been and that was the advice I gave Carson Boatman. He came up to me before we really knew each other, before we were bandmates. He's like, you've been on the show a long time, right? I'm Carson. I'm like, nice to meet you. He's like, how do you get your wife to be okay with, sleeping around with these girls on top? And I told him, I said, have your wife just meet your girl. And odds are they're going to be cool with each other as long as they're shooting the shit. And they're like, hey, I don't want your husband. I have a job and I have my own life and da-da-da. Everything's fine. My wife is now friends with all of my love interests. Like,
yeah.
To this day, she and Lindsay Hartley, like, hey, what's up, girl?
Brady boys.
It worked out, and that was such great advice because I did see the baby shower pictures, and I know Raven hangs out over there too.
Yes, they're friends.
Oh yeah, they're better friends than They asked Carson to leave the room. So it's great.
So Eric, with all the stuff that's happening with Tate, as far as like the drug and Holly going in a coma and him in the halfway house, and like as a father yourself, are there moments where you Eric would want to like what advice would you offer Teresa and Brady on how to like handle this situation? Because we were talking about this earlier, and the thing that we don't like currently is that there's so much disregard to Tate, as if like they're just going to throw him in jail. They're going to throw like he's just being disregarded and not being heard and not being like as far as like with EJ and Nicole, they're just kind of like whatever happens to Tate, whatever, we're concerned about Holly. And I just imagine sometimes in those scenes you kind of like that father figure comes out of you of like, but this is my kid that you guys just don't care about. But like looking at it, like what are your thoughts? And like, how do you feel sometimes in those scenes, like as a parent, like, what do you think about the storyline that's happening with them?
It's hard. I love the scenes with Nicole and Brady, the awkwardness.
Mm-hmm.
We really wanted to display that awkwardness because here you have these two characters, Nicole and Brady, who have been lovers, who have been friends, good friends. I've always said that whenever either one of them went off the tracks, they usually went to each other.
Yep.
But the fun thing is when you throw kids in the mix,
the different dynamic.
That's her off.
Because Mama Bear and Papa Bear will come out and be like, "You don't F with my kid. I know we have a history. I know we have a past." So I thought that's exactly what I would have done. You knock on that mansion door and you're like, "So Holly's out of her coma. Yeah. That's great. Why the hell wouldn't you call me? My kid's getting the shit beaten out of him in their halfway house. What's going on?" And so I love that nitty gritty. But I don't know, Tony. I think I can't disagree with a lot of the rhetoric and a lot of the ways in which Teresa and Brady are trying to. Because you got to remember, I mean, she's like, I guess she's with. Is she with Alex right now? I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're in an entangled.
Yeah, and then he tried to step in and try to hire a lawyer, and my feathers went up. I'm like, no, shut up. So that was a thing. And I was like, I would never allow some other man to come in and dictate what my kid's future is going to be.
Yeah.
So of course, there's moments where you're like, this is ridiculous. Oh yeah, that's right. It's a soap opera. It's
supposed to be ridiculous.
That's right. It's supposed to be a little kooky.
Although we saw it on your face this week, because when EJ called the cops on Tate when he broke into, but he was led into the mansion, the look on your face was like, oh my God, you guys, like, are you freaking kidding me right now? Like, you could tell just the frustration and exhaustion in Brady's face of like, guys, come on, he's a kid, we're trying to get it together, like, can we just walk out of here without the cops? Sure. But that turn that turn in that face said everything a parent could.
The scenes in the hospital where I think I went through 6 scenes when EJ first came out and I'm just kind of standing there. I didn't have a line for like 7 scenes. I'm like, this is nuts. I wouldn't sit here and let this guy berate my kid like this.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
But at the same time, EJ's kind of digging his own grave. I mean, he doesn't come across as the most noble of dudes by going after Tate like this. So I'm like, dig your own grave. Keep talking.
One of a common phrase in the chat room today was actually EJ. Karma's coming for EJ. Karma's coming for EJ. I saw like 5 people say it today. So
I mean, we know the truth. Yeah. So I'm like, keep going, bro. Just dig it up. And it's not going to probably won't turn out too well for him. I know, guys, I wish I could share so much with you right now, but I know.
I mean, I will say, for all of the kookiness that a soap opera puts out on a day-to-day basis, I feel like this is probably the most realistic, one of the most realistic storylines I've ever seen, because it's just teenagers being teenagers. Somebody just made one bad mistake. It was unintentional. Nobody meant any malice. Everybody's just trying to do the best that they possibly can. Including the parents are like, nobody is like doing anything outwardly stupid. Maybe EJ, but that's just the way he is.
That's EJ.
But everybody's just trying to do their best with a really terrible situation.
Sure. Absolutely. And I love to play the realistics. I mean, I came from Passions, for God's sake. Whenever I can play something that's just rooted in reality a little bit, I think that's important. I think what's interesting is soaps historically, from the very beginning, they were meant to be lessons on societal norms and how to deal with things in society. And people would go to soaps to like learn about divorce and how do you or adoption or real life issues, and people would go to soaps to learn these lessons. So I think it's important once in a while to stick up a mirror and reflect society, and I think Days of Our Lives has done that pretty well over the course of 5 decades. But you're right, this is one of those moments where I'm like, I think parents are really going to relate to this, and much like when Brady was on drugs and with his intervention and with all that, I felt a responsibility in this moment of time to really portray a realistic dad. Yeah. He's not perfect all the time. It's me, I'm guilty, or they were my drugs. What are you doing? What are you doing?
That's what we said. We were like, come on, Brady.
What are you doing?
It's so similar to when you have kids, Tony, you do. If that car is coming towards your kid on the 101, you push him out of the way and you take the hit. And you won't even freaking think about it until you're hit. Because the pain that you would feel on your body is so much less than the pain of watching your kid get hit. So I understood that too. And everyone on set was like, why is Brady being so stupid? No one's going to believe him. Like, I understand why you do that. Yeah, it's okay. It's not stupidity. It's just love. Yeah. Sometimes
Eric,
you do something out of love sometimes, right? We've all been there, right?
Exactly.
Cheers. Yeah.
Cheers.
Eric, I'm curious, all the years you've played Brady, are there any sort of drop storylines or storylines that sort of went left that you can reveal now that they're sort of in the past? Like, oh, they were going to put me with this person, or this storyline was going to go in this direction and it took a curve, or...
Ooh. I don't, you know what? I wish I could tell you yet. Yeah, I knew about this, and then they went this direction. Justin, I'm not the guy in my little soap career. I'm not the guy that knocks on the writer's room.
Okay.
I'm not the guy that frequently goes up to the producer's office and asks questions. My outlook and philosophy on it has always been I'm the vehicle for whatever they do with their pen. So I don't inquire. I don't ask. I just accept the fate of where they want this story to go and assume that these writers, with the uphill task that they have to make these stories on a daily basis, I figured they have an idea down the road of what it's going to be. So I have implicit trust with the machine, so to speak. So I don't know.
Got it.
I don't know if there were plans for Brady that all of a sudden were like there were. I remember times I'm like, why am I with Melanie right now? This is
that's one. That's so funny you said that. That was what I was thinking. Also, I gotta ask about Sarah Brown with the whole Madison storyline.
Go ahead, let's talk about it.
Was that just was there ever any inclination that was actually going to come to fruition? We were going to see Brady with a new wife. We're going to see sort of you go down that road with Sarah, or maybe you just don't know, or was that just an abrupt kind of thing?
I saw the parallel with that we were in the boardroom, and that's when I had Titan, and she was the powerhouse executive, right?
Yeah,
it was like this high-powered love affair. It was I thought it was kind of sexy, and they were doing all this stuff. And Sarah Brown, she's just an interesting actor, and she just brought so many layers, and I loved it. And then they brought Ian McKellen in there.
Yeah.
Ian Buchanan.
Ian Buchanan. Yeah.
Magneto came in. I was like, it was moving metal around. I'm like, Ian Buchanan. And he brought such a sophistication and a strange element to it. And I dug that storyline a lot. And then when they killed her in that
off in
the explosion.
The explosion, a blasted window just shredded apart, so whatever.
It was a chopping block kind of a year.
But got rid of a few people.
But I guess, I always feel like my character's always been riddled with those kinds of scenarios. Ariana, that was a good car.
Yep.
Like I left her in the Horton Square. Okay, I'll see you later. We'll get Chinese. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah. But everybody. That was probably. I think that was your first, one of your first pairings as Brady on the show, and I think that it took people off guard that it didn't work or wasn't made to work for a long time, since you and Lindsay were like the couple on Passions. Like that whole show was centered around you two at one point.
I know. I know. But it's funny. I mean, to their credit, the writers have been pretty consistent in the sense that when I started playing Brady, I was told in that room when I was signing my contract that you are going to come back to town as a recovered addict, and you are making amends with everyone, your friends and family, and you are going to resolve your issues and get back together with Chloe. Period. And I think it was my third episode in which I'm in the pub with Chloe, and within 2 scenes we're like friends. Okay.
Yeah. Right. I was like, wait.
And then this is not what I was told in the boardroom like a week ago. And then 2 episodes later, I'm flirting with Nicole in the Titan gym or something, and like realizing that they're going to go this way. So
there goes one there. Yeah, there's one there. They told you one thing. And
I guess I don't know. Brady's just meant to be the roller coaster character that gets involved, and then all of a sudden, you didn't see that coming. And I've embraced it at this point. I just have. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Eric, who would you choose for Brady? Like out of all the people
don't ask me that.
I am because
you have to work with these people.
No, I'm.
Haven't you learned at this point that no actor can ever say she's my favorite, the others are terrible?
But it's not a dig at like the actresses who played them. But like, if for that super couple that we were talking about for Brady, like, and it's no disrespect to everyone else, but like if you could like nudge Brady and say, hey, I think that's your girl. Like who would you choose for Brady?
I'll tell you, I think my answer has changed over the years. The last year, the way they've written some of Brady's past loves, it's a little tricky because they threw Chloe with Xander pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then they threw Teresa with Alex pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Just these these long-standing relationships have been kind of cut at the knees a little bit. So the one that's been pretty damn consistent is Kristen and Brady. As tumultuous as they are, you guys, I remember the day when I walked on set and Eileen Davidson was sitting there in the Horton Square, and I had this scene with her and I had perused it, but we were dry blocking and I knew I had time to really read it later in the afternoon. And I sat down, like, how you doing? She's like, I think they're putting us together, Martsolf. I was like, wait, what do you mean? Like together? She's like, yeah, look at this. Look what's going on. And we both kind of just realized this is going to be salty. You know, the dad, dad's girlfriend getting together with his son. Like, is this going to work? People are going to think this is nuts. And yet here we are.
Yeah,
that was good stuff.
It was nuts.
That was great. I remember watching that wedding. Oh, the wedding was just.
Oh my God, the wedding was off the chain, right?
Oh man, like
I want to show you a video of how much I love my woman. Here it is. You got her raping my brother, the priest. I'm like, nice wedding, dude. But it really worked, and here we are still with Kristen and Brady with the push and pull. Is it the John and Marlena ride off into the sunset scenario? No,
it is a vat of acid.
And it's what I think it's what we like soaps for in the end.
Yeah. It's messy. It's not clean. It's not messy. Clean as it's a little messy, but it's
beautifully messy.
Beautifully good way.
Are they gonna end up together? I don't know, but soaps don't really have an end, so I don't like to talk about ends, especially when the soap opera world's on fire right now and everything's
But Kristen is the one she's still fighting. Like till this day, she's having a conversation with someone in the Horton Town Square that's saying, "Have you checked on Brady?"
That your face right now, you actually look like her for a second. I saw you in Come on, Brady.
He spends too much time with Stacey. That's why they're starting to look like each other now.
Stacey and I dance too much together, so we picked up on each other's
those are great videos. They always make me happy. When you guys should do that like weekly, I think.
I know. We always want to do more, but schedules and all that stuff. So whenever we do get together, we're like, okay, how many can we knock out like while we're together? And we try to do a few. So, but we're probably due for another one. But speaking of fiery women, there's one person we have not talked about.
Ooh.
And that's Little Finley, who plays Rachel. God. That when I tell you that little girl is amazing and has a way of putting you and Stacey as Kristen in your place with just one little look, one little hey, or so. Talk about her, because she's amazing. She reminds us of Lauren Bowles, who played young Sierra. Yeah. And when they started giving her lines and stuff, and we were just like, oh man, she's gonna be the new Sammy, the way that she's talking now. But I don't know. How's Finley?
Little girl has a career. She just finished a horror movie too that I think she starred in it, but I was like, that's perfect. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, of course she did. We have a lot of fun. The fun thing you probably don't know about Finley is she's silly. She's really silly. She reads me and she'll be like, how are you? I'm like, I'm good. How you doing? Like, I'm fine, of course. Like, she'll play with me. She's so spicy. And she is so Kristen's daughter.
Yes.
Yep. Perfectly cast in that sense. She has a spice about her, but I'll tell you what, she's also got a little smile behind her eye with every little is like a what are you gonna say next? And it drives you crazy. As a parent, you're like, you're not listening to me, are you? Like, I don't need to listen to you. It's such a she has that thing, whatever the hell that thing is, and you never know Look, kid actors can be tough. They tend to stare off into the lights, and the people, and all you're doing is like, look at me, and a line. But when she connects.
Oh yeah,
and you feel it. She's actually in my little Emmy reel a lot. Because that
was a question someone in the chat room wanted to know if you could tell us are you allowed to tell us what you put in there? Is that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know who's going to get me in trouble for that.
Not a.
Is that police somehow?
If you're comfortable telling us what you put in the Emmy reel,
I won't be specific, but I'll just say it is a tumultuous scenario with Kristen, and Rachel's involved in it.
Got it.
And it's one of those moments that Finley, she really got me. She got my dad hard. She hit me, and I'm like, ooh, I need that to be in there. It was her guttural. It was something very guttural. She was like, ah, and I loved it. So when stuff moves me, I don't care if I'm the reason for it or not. If someone in a scene moves me, I want to show that. So
yeah, she's another one. I'm like, younger performer, where are you?
Yeah, you're right. Both of my kids could have been up for nomination.
Right.
Like they're like you got. I mean, you got really lucky with those two.
Some good ones.
Well, Marnie, look, Marnie. You guys know. You know Marnie?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know you do, Tony. She's cool. She's very cool, and she knows people. She really knows not just actors but people. Like when you walk into a room, I remember auditioning for her for Young and the Restless, for God's sakes.
Oh, wow.
And she'd look right at me. You don't often get feedback. I remember she looked right at me and she's like, I don't think you are definitely not right for this role, but I'm going to keep your ass in mind or whatever. Shit, that was really real, and I loved it. You know, I didn't get the job, but I feel good about that. Yeah, I'm sorry they're not going to get a chance to be nominated either. Yeah. But couldn't they feasibly win supporting actor?
They could, yeah. I mean, they're not out of the running yet.
Yeah. Who knows? I'll vote for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a testament to Marnie too, because like even when we saw Jamie, a lot of fans were like, Jamie looks like your twin boys. Like you can put the three of them together and he would fit right in. And the fact that he came in, him and Ashley came in super talented as Holly and Tate, and we were just drawn to this storyline that of you know, them meeting each other for the first time and Tate having a crush and Holly not, but going after John. Like we were like, okay, this is kind of the start of the teen scene all over again. So we were.
I'm so glad that means a lot to me. That I mean, you guys know what you're talking about. You guys have been. I mean, you love it, and you know what works and you know what doesn't. So the fact that you would say that about them just reinforces what I thought about them as well. The first time I saw them on set doing their thing, I'm like, this really has potential. And I don't think I'm spoiling anything from a production point of view when I can tell you that it's being built upon.
Good.
The teen scene that was so near and dear to people's hearts. I mean, it was a big deal, that whole teen thing back then. And I think they've tried a couple times to replicate it, and it's really hard to do. But I think they flipped the pancake right this time, and it's working.
I think maybe one thing, they started out slow with it, with just introducing two of them instead of introducing like 5 at a time.
Exactly.
How they've tried to reintroduce it before, where it's like summer goes by, September comes, and suddenly all of the kids that were of age 1 to 10 are now 18, 17, whatever.
Like puberty is like
a whole new group, all of these new dynamics, and it's maybe just a little bit like, you know, jarring. But they're the fact that they're starting slow, and that they like we've been singing their praises the whole show. But the fact that they have these 2 solid actors to build that foundation on now is exciting.
Every giant ass Christmas tree starts with a seed, right?
It's true.
There we go.
One little seed and let it grow. You can't put a whole bunch of seeds in the ground.
Just one.
Cultivate it, let it grow. Big tree.
Yeah. Eric, I do want to ask because you haven't been on our show for so long. I do want to ask because we didn't get a chance to touch on this. You know, I know that you and John Aniston were close, and you had such great connection as grandfather and grandson. You know, how has it been, you know, not seeing him on a day-to-day basis? How do you keep his legacy on the show going?
It's been shitty. I worked with him a lot. In my 16 years, I think Brady was always fighting for his grandfather's approval, not so much his father's approval. He was always fighting for his granddad's approval. So John and I worked a lot together, and I miss him. I miss him as a man. He was a very gentle giant who he didn't say a lot. He didn't say a lot in a world where everyone's talking and everyone's got something to say. Everyone's got an opinion about everything and everything. John would open his mouth, and when he did, you listened because you knew that it was just going to be a little gold nugget that came out. And you know, he usually had a lot of nasty jokes that he loved to share. Quorum prevents me from telling you. He had a damn good sense of humor. Yes, he did talk about Jennifer Aniston to me once. He was the best of the best, man. He was just a beautiful guy. Never thought he worked a day in his life, by the way.
Wow.
When he would watch these kids on set complain about how much dialogue they had, and oh my God, I gotta be here till 5 tonight, and I'm in the last item, and I can't. He would just shake his head, and I could look at him, and he'd just be like, "These kids think that this is work." Like he instilled in me that, kid, you need to really appreciate that you won the lottery and that you get to do this and feed your family at the same time. Embrace it. And next time you're having a bad day, don't wise up and realize you're not. So he was what life is all about. Like, don't stop your complaining and appreciate what you have. Yeah, that's what he did for me, and I'll take that all the way until I'm done.
Yeah, he was an amazing man, and those one-liners that
kill a one-liner.
We all thought he had his own writer. I'm like, why are all of his lines hilarious and everything I'm saying is not hilarious? And like, well, maybe you should watch the way John delivers a line.
Yeah,
in its simplicity, when everyone's just putting so much maple syrup on their lines and trying to make it this feast, John would just say the damn thing deadpan, and it's funny. It's a way to do it, and he knew how to do it.
Yeah.
We were missed to mention the day players. Did you ever think that this kind of fun little garage band with your castmates would turn into this? I mean, you're constantly on tour now. We joke about it on the show when we mention your dates. We're like, they're on this never-ending sort of years run tour that they can't. They may take a little break here and there, but then more dates are coming.
Yeah.
Well, look, thanks for bringing that up. It's obviously a passion of mine. I'm a music guy. I was making nickels in music before I even made nickels in acting. But I've been bugging Wally Kurth for years to do this.
Oh, cool.
Years. I'm like, come on, they got this poor Chuck thing, and it looks like a lot of fun. And I bet we could do it. And it wasn't until Wally, saw he did an event with Carson Boatman in Nashville, and saw Carson playing and singing, and Wally was like, "Huh." And Wally called me up out of the blue and said, I think I'm ready to do this.
Right.
And Brandon was a no-brainer. We're like, dude, show us the way. And we all genuinely actually really respect and love each other. We're all different ages and generations. So we all have different tastes in music, and it's just working. We're having fun doing it. And the day we stop having fun doing it, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But until then, we're rolling around the United States, and if you guys want to come to a show, it's thedayplayersband.com, and we're having a lot of. I apologize about my Instagram, but that's all I gotta say. Like, come see our band. But it is fun. It's a great way. It's also a way to say thank you to these fans.
Yeah,
I mean, just to see these women look at Wally. You guys, it's amazing. You have these women just looking at Wally from just like back in the day when he was a kid, and they're like watching him sing these heartfelt songs, and they're crying, and then we start crying, and then Carson's crying, and we're like, it's a big sob fest. But there's a lot of heart in the show as well.
I noticed that at the LA show, that the not House of Blues, Bourbon.
We were there.
It was just and he was like, I'm going to sing a song that I wrote in the 80s, and it was just like panties were being thrown, not literally, but figuratively.
No,
I'm sitting there playing. I'm like, the panties are coming anytime soon. And while it's up, to make believe, baby, on TV, I'm like, he started singing that in my garage, and I'm like, you're doing that song. Like,
yeah,
you should do it. I'm like, yeah.
Cool.
And then Carson wrote a song about his baby that was born. And the first lyric is, oh shit, He's like, I don't know you, but I love you.
Oh yeah.
Like, that's it. You know this baby, this life is coming, and you love it, and you don't even know it.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a dry eye, and so it's fun, but it's also it's good for the soul.
Yeah.
I look forward to those weekends with those guys, because it's not just about going out there and selling some t-shirts. It's really about we all connect with the music and we feel it, and we're all in different stages of our life, but we're also all married guys with kids.
Yeah.
So
no, it's definitely a fun show. It is a fun show, and for our viewers who are watching, like if they come to a city near you, even if you can drive there and it may take you a couple of hours, it is definitely worth it. My mom is waiting for you guys to come to South Carolina or somewhere closer to South Carolina, because she will be there.
I think we're coming to North Carolina later on in the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if it's up there on the schedule yet, but we're definitely, I think we're hitting North Carolina, Virginia Beach, Carolina, around there.
Perfect.
So yeah, I expect to see her front row.
Oh, she will be there. She will probably be the one throwing panties at y'all.
Hey, but be careful. Sometimes there are children. We went to the Bourbon Room, and Brandon's daughter was on stage. Michael actually got like the premiere shot.
That was a really cute photo of them.
The premiere shot of him hugging her on stage.
I've seen his work. Yeah, really.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, wait a minute. Did I see that? I saw that shot, didn't I?
You probably
I tagged
did.
y'all, and I posted and tagged y'all.
I know, Michael.
I was like, frame this now.
Oh my God, that was a beautiful picture.
It was.
Yeah, that
I'll
was
repost
really
it. Maybe it got lost in the Day of Days Instagram flutter.
Yeah, that was a long weekend.
Mildred Moore, everyone have a blessed week and stay safe. We will, sweetheart.
Thank you, Mom. So, Eric, before we let you go, because like we've been on for quite some time.
I know. Well, listen, guys, I just want to say it's been too long, so I'm happy to come on again. If there's anything else you want to talk about, but I love and appreciate what you guys do.
No, we
love and appreciate you.
Yes, like Eric and I have known each other for a very long time, and so it's always a good time to just like see what you're doing and just continuing to show your talents. And now with the day players, which is amazing, like it's just good. It's always good to see you elevating yourself, Martsolf.
Wait a minute. Okay, that can be okay. Yes, elevate. Okay, Tony, that's great.
But
I know what you're saying, buddy, and thank you too. You as well.
Yeah.
You as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Just moving on up in every aspect of the.
Listen, I'm trying to. I've come a long way from like practically begging to be on days and always giving various scenarios as to how I could. Every soap event, like they would hear it, they'd be like, well, my character's name is Dan and he's in the Horton Town Square, or there's like something. So
yeah, but look at you now, the host of Day of Days. You know, every organization kind of wants you to host their soap event. I mean, you're kind of a staple in your own right, and
he's kind of a big deal.
Yes,
you're kind of a big deal. I don't know how to say this.
What did we say to Victoria Konefeld? Bitch, you're a big deal.
I did. Oh, yes. You are
the Ron Burgundy of.
Victoria was just being so modest, and Tony was like, "Bitch, you know you're a big deal."
Yeah, it's like listen, let's not be modest. Like, listen, you're a big deal. Like, remember
sometimes, like I said earlier, Tony, you got to wave your own flag sometimes because nobody else is going to do it for you, right? So
this is
celebrate your accomplishments, and we should feel good about where our genre is right now. And to just circle back an hour ago, there are now networks creating daytime soap operas. So let's roll with that and keep this train going, because I need to feed my kids. They're 18, they eat a lot. Right. And I need these soaps to stay on for a long time. So
and there's thing called tuition.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even. As soon as I get off with you guys, I'm going out there and talking to my wife about college. It's crazy.
Oh, well, you better make sure they write every essay for everything that if they look out of their left eye, if they're left-handed, everything. Like,
are there any twin scholarships? Are there any GOAT, 2-for-1s out there?
2-for-1s.
By the way, there are not many of those in the universe. I was thinking, I have twins. There's going to be a lot of 2-fers out there. There's not.
Nope.
None. But
it's like good for you, but no.
Yeah. Eric, before we sign off, 2 things. One, my mom loves texting me during the show, which I love that she does. She said bye, and then she sent me a text. She said,
wait. She just sent me, dude. Why does she have my number? She just sent me a picture. Oh,
wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised. But she did just say, tell him I will be in North Carolina. So when you post that North Carolina date, she will be there.
All right, I'll count on it.
And then before you go, because we put everyone on the spot like this, you've mentioned there's some great stuff coming up. In one word,
oh boy,
describe what we can look forward to with Brady and the upcoming storyline. In one word, we reduce it down to one just because we feel like if you have too many words, it may give too much away. But one word could leave us wanting more.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fine. You can have 2.
Sexual intercourse.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. Up with 2 words. That would be funny. Gosh, Tony,
for 2 seconds, we were like,
you do this
wait.
to everybody? Is this like a thing you do?
Yes.
It is.
Okay.
It is a thing.
Okay. I want to come up with something that nobody's ever come up with.
Okay.
Moist.
Why?
Oh God. Michael needs to leave now.
Little Tony flipped a table when they forgot his birthday in school. I'm about to flip a table because you said the M word.
I'm sorry. I know it's only really supposed to be talked about with birthday cakes.
Even then, no.
Michael, I chose. You want to know why I chose moist?
Yeah.
You said it again.
because there is a lot of heat. There are some topics and situations that make you want to sweat. There's a lot of.
Is it everything that you?
Yeah, it's just a wet scenario, and I think moist is the best word.
Look, our chat room is happy, so
we'll take it.
Yeah.
We will take it. Well, Martsolf, we thank you so much for coming on, and we promise, we solemnly swear that it will not be too much longer before you're back on Dishin Days with us.
Well, I love my job. And
we will bring you back when this Playgirl spread comes out.
Oh wait! Before you go, you have to give us some insight.
Well, we
about
don't need
that.
him to
I thought I was going to get off the hook without addressing this, but okay, what?
No.
What do you want to know?
Well,
when?
I don't know. Honest with you, I don't know when exactly. I can tell you, I saw a video promo.
Ooh, video.
Yesterday
Video.
Okay. I think we are all going to have individual covers.
Oh.
So I can tell you that it was a lot of fun, that we laughed our way through it. And you're definitely going to see sides of us that you haven't seen before.
That's what we want to know. How much are we going to see?
Was Carson in on this? Was Carson in it?
No. You know who was involved in it, right?
Yeah, it's
I was just hoping that they missed him in the lineup, but I guess
no. Michael Carson will probably be on the next round. If this one's successful, I'm sure he'll be a part of the next. I mean, there's a bunch.
I'm still gonna buy it or whatever, but you know.
Well, they're celebrating the fact that they're going all digital.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was part of the hey, we're going all digital, and the video actually looked pretty cool. Pretty cool. I mean, look, it was all done in fun, and we all supported each other in it. It was a rainy day up in the hills in this house, and we all just kind of went, let's do this. And I don't know. I really don't know. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Are y'all shirtless?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay. Well, people want to know how much.
It's Playgirl. I mean, it's not highlights. It's not
highlights.
It's freaking Playgirl. So
if you had to put a rating on it, like PG-13, is it PG-13 or is it R?
I'm gonna make it's
or NC-17.
It's not R. I'm gonna make up my own. It's like PG-18.
PG-18.
It's not R. It's not R. We still look. We have a certain amount of integrity as members of Days of Our Lives. So, but we certainly stretch the boundaries on this shoot.
So no cheeks. Got it. Okay. Well,
dude, I don't. Here's the fun part. I don't know. They kind of get to pick. They get to choose the pictures, and we go. Okay.
Oh.
You know.
Okay. Well, we will be sure to get subscriptions, buy physical copies, look at the videos, all of that in support. In support. I just want to make sure that it's clear that it's purely in support of our Days of Our Lives men.
And that's the story he's sticking to.
I'm gonna leave you with one little thing about the shoot because I know I'm gonna hear about it later. My wife for Valentine's Day bought me a spray tan for the shoot, right? So, dude, I went and got this spray tan, and it was like late at night. It was like 7:30 at night. I could tell this girl kind of wanted to close or whatever, and she was kind of young. She was a little too young to be giving spray tans, and she was like, "Okay," and she did it really quickly, like before I knew it, I was like. And I walked out, dude. I was ready to work in a chocolate factory. and I spent the morning of the shoot like this is not coming off. My fingernails are tan. My you're supposed to use barrier cream on certain parts of your hand. My hands were like red. I walked into the shoot and everyone was like. Okay, he's orange. All right, let's do it. So that was my gift from my wife for Valentine's Day, and it was kind of funny that I was. So if I look a little bronzed, that's why you go.
That's the reason. Well, she just wanted you to look your absolute best for something that's going to be materialized for.
If you can't tone it, tan it.
Who said that?
I'm toner than you think, Michael. I'm just fine. I just didn't want to look like I just made an everlasting gobstopper. That's all.
This is true. Or the interlude of Oompa Loompa. Yeah.
I'm gonna do a Playgirl shoot. I am 210 in my knees.
Well, Eric, as always, it's always a pleasure to see you and chat with you. And we can't wait to see the moisture of the upcoming storyline and also the moisture of the Playgirl shoot. We can't wait. And Michael will look forward to it with moisture as well.
Oh, my God.
Is that, you hate that word, right? That's my
I hate that word. It is the, oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I don't mind it.
I don't mind it either, especially when we're talking about kids.
I'm trying to revitalize the word moist. I think it's gotten a bad rap over the years.
It's rebranding.
There you go. Eric Martsolf, making moist happen.
Eric Martsolf, signing off. Guys, thank you so much. I love you.
Thanks, Eric.
Cheers, you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, see, that's so much fun.
I love interviews where my cheeks hurt at the end.
I know, I'm like, oh.
Now, really quick, there's one last little piece of business that we have is what's coming up on next week's episodes of Days of Our Lives. It is quickly.
Oh, I said it. I can't believe it.
There's one thing we haven't done yet as husband and wife. Tonight is all ours.
This week.
You will not be coming to my son's christening.
Sometimes the past.
I killed her. You lied to my face. Damn it, Steve!
Rears up.
You shot me twice in cold blood. What about her? Do you know what she was doing with me?
And knocks you out.
You bastard!
Days of Our Lives.
What did the fingers.
Listen.
Face.
Well, everyone, thank you guys so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Dishin Days. Before we head out, Michael Mattis, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Twitter X, whatever, at ML Mattis.
Justin Lee Hareld.
Find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And Araceli.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Tia323 Araceli.
And you can find me on all social media platforms at Lounging with Tony. And you can find us on Facebook, Dishin Days Show, and on Instagram, X, and Threads, Dishin Days. Yes. All right. And we will be back next week for another full dish of this coming week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. Thank you so much to Eric Martsolf for coming in. And we will see you guys next week. Be safe, be healthy, have a great week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.